realize I didn't know who you were hosting. So yeah.
Everything looks good so far.
Yeah. Good.
There you go. What's up, Alderon? What's up, DM? You guys see it? Can you guys hear us? Hopefully you can.
Yeah.
What's up there, Patrick?
Awesome.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's always a good thing. Always a good thing here. So how many of you out there did something for the Choller Games Kickstarter? I'm actually looking forward to getting the books. I know they're going to have that special covers in honor of the original Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide. They're pretty neat looking.
Yeah.
So excited about that.
Super cool.
Yeah, really. Definitely a neat thing. I'm gonna curse myself, but everything's moving too smoothly today. This morning, you're not too late there, Matt. Come on, man. You're not too late. You're in plenty of time. It's gonna be an interesting discussion for any of you who want to know how how the method to my madness a little bit. I guess you could say when I'm DMing a game.
I did it.
Yeah. What's up? Should be a fun one tonight. Oh, thank you for the resub there too. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, just a few days off and it feels.
Yeah, and I gotta
Yeah.
go back to work tomorrow. That's a really crappy thing.
Yeah.
So I gotta hit.
And only for a little while. Then you have your.
Yeah. Then I got my mega off time, and I really gotta put it to good use. But it's almost 1-for-1 on the.
Yeah. Do you do downtime and stuff? Do you
Yeah, but
calculate stuff like that?
that's a good question now. But there's 20 different adventuring groups, so while one's down, I'm running another game for another one.
Yeah.
So we have some downtime. The groups have downtime, but another group is adventuring, and that's the thing with which is kind of cool. That's why you can pack a whole bunch of adventures in the same year because you got so many different groups running. So you don't have to worry about travel and all that other things between with each group. So I know we gave away some of this too. What's up, Thunder? Gave away some great Infinite Dimensions giveaways on Tuesday night, which was cool. More to come from this company too. Really fantastic. There is that Tourbridge Colwyn's a late backer, which is still available for the Kickstarter. They have a late backer thing if you're interested. I know last time I checked, they raised $180,000 on this Kickstarter, which is crazy. But some unbelievably fantastic stuff. Whew. Kill off this coffee while it's still a little warm. So I'm not sure. This is the end of a holiday weekend, so I'm not sure if a lot of people will be off with family or traveling or whatever, even with all the COVID stuff going on. So, have you run U1, U2, and U3? Yes, Thunder, I have. I ran, and that's a. Hey, what's up, Kai? That's a funny story. And I'll tell it. I'll tell that. I will tell that when Anna and I go live here. I'll tell you that story. That is a former ex-player. You probably have heard this joke occasionally that we say, like when someone misses a key thing or a key treasure or key monster, and I'll explain in a second. It goes back to U3. And I ran most of the adventures in Ghost of Saltmarsh. I ran because they're Dungeon Magazine adventures. A lot of them I would run not contiguously but separate because they kind of smashed them together, as we found out from Wolfgang. Oh, here comes my son here. You messed up my cue there. What's up? Okay, well, you're all now, right? Well, we're fine. All right, good. Thanks. What's up, Michael? This is going to be a topic, and once again, this is going to be one of these nebulous topics. I have no idea where the heck it's going to go in direction, but we're going to have fun with it tonight, right? Have a little fun with this discussion.
Yeah, I already screwed it up before we even went on.
No.
I went overboard. No,
it was great.
Yeah, it was some things, because I always try to, you have to think through what my ideas and stuff, so I can have some what to throw in if the discussion grows stale here. So yeah,
this will be a good one. All right, so tonight we got tabletop game flow and rules tweaks. This does not mean that we're just going to talk about my game, my campaign only, but I'm going to give you an idea.
It's your Gabbin show, so
yeah,
it's more. This is the show where your campaign should be in the center, so to speak.
But we're gonna make these analogies to everyone's game, because if you do not make tweaks to your game, this is my opinion, you're not doing the best you can for your players, because not every rule is going to be etched in stone. So hopefully that came out right. I didn't mean that arrogantly, or mean that, but everyone needs to make some tweaks here and there.
Yeah, you need to have a game that suits your ambitions and the player's interest and what you want with the game. Yeah.
Awesome there, Michael. So here's a little thing. Shortly, whenever Dennis Malden Chetro gives me a Sunday night, we're going to do another specialty pre-show where where Dennis and I are going to share our specialty priests with each other, and we're going to go over how we made them. So whenever that, thanks, Maven, thank you very much. Whenever he's able to come on, Dennis will have that show. So, and I'm hoping before the end of the year. So here we go. All right, so it's Anna and me right now, and Bill and Mastercrafter and Tim, the ever mysterious Tim, will be on as soon as they can be on. So good evening, and welcome to it feels like it was a long time ago, but it wasn't. That's what's weird. You know,
Yeah.
I was saying that earlier, and I'm excited about this discussion. And thanks, Patrick, for the Kai Brightwing sub there. And let me get caught up here on some other things. We're going to have a fun discussion tonight, and I was thinking about this, and a lot of people go, how the hell do you decide who goes on the table? Because you do group initiative. So let's start it off. Yeah, more specialty priests. You got it. Let's start it off with that. But let me answer the question back a little bit from Thunder about have I run U1, U2, and U3? Hey, David, what's going on? This is a funny, if not sad, story. My guess is this is 1990 or 91. I ran it. I ran the U series, and everyone remembers what's up there, Mike. Everyone remembers Marco. If you don't, shame on you. But DM Marco, and he had his high school that he went to. He had some friends that were. Well, one of them was I won't even say his name, but the one friend kind of like it's the guy you always heard. He always put all the elixirs of life on his sheet in case his character died.
Yeah.
Right. So we're in the end of U3, and it's all underwater, if you remember. And at the end, they're all about to leave. Okay, they're about to just depart because they figure they've gotten the main thing. And out of the blue, he blurts, "We can't leave yet. We didn't find and fight the six-armed Sahagwin prince."
Oh. Yeah. Someone has been reading the adventure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So they went back, and yes. Hey, what's up there, Nas? Good to see you, Tim.
Yeah.
And yes, and if you want to, you all should have watched us get our asses kicked in the big bad on Tuesday night. Tim was part of that, and wow, we got because we were playing, we were too careful, but that's okay. We were successful.
We overthought the whole thing 5 times over. So yeah,
I can say now we came in last.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we had fun though, and we had fun, and we overthought the whole thing 4 times more than necessary.
And Will couldn't make a successful roll to save his life, and that too. So
that was another fun part of it. Yep.
That was definitely a blast. So so they went back and they fought the six-armed Sahagwin prince, and one of our other friends who doesn't play anymore, like I said, this is back in the 90s, had his monk PC got killed, and they couldn't recover the body because a shark ate his body and swam off with him. So he lost so that was a fun one. So there you go. That's the story behind U3, U1, U2, and U3. I got to keep on looking up for our other guests to sign on. Rules tweaks, game flow. I don't want to beat up Tim till he gets on here, but I got a Tim story, and I'll wait till he comes on about why game flow is important. And Anna and I were discussing this, and Anna asked me before we came on, have you changed your game much since you started streaming? And what did I say to you, Anna?
Well, yeah, you said that you tweaked a lot of things. Like, first of all, you have like 2 different types of hero points, special hero points, and
which we didn't have at all. We had hero points, but we didn't have the specials, and we figured out a way to get the audience involved. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. And then there was a lot of other things like time frame, having the tabletop up. I got to get the game done, because especially if I got to put something else up, and sometimes it forces it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I don't like
time frame. It's a bit like convention games, meaning that's the slot you need to use it. You can't like, okay, now this is a good spot to end, so we end it after an hour and a half, and so you have to kind of make it happen within the time frame.
And that's the great point, is that almost every game that I'm running now is almost a convention style when you think about it. Oh my gosh. Are you outside?
Oh. He's sitting by the fire. That looks very medieval, kind of cool.
Spooky. Can you hear us, Tim?
Yeah. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you outside the fire? Yes. Will some of my homeworks be published? The answer to
Oh,
that
look at
is
that. Yep.
yes. Very nice. Don't burn the neighborhood down.
No promises.
Yes, exactly.
And that's Brian. Hi, Brian. Nagoya Joy. Yeah.
Yeah, the answer to that is probably, and I'll discuss that down the road. It could really be a reality. He's on my backyard. Trust me. There's no. He's in his backyard, right, Tim?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it can't be any more disturbing than what Gary Holian did on Wednesday night with his.
Oh yeah, that was both awesome and awkward, disturbing at the same time.
Yeah, it was absolutely. So, Tim,
Yeah.
what are Alan and I talking about as far as game flow goes regarding you?
You're making up some farcical, overblown lies.
Am I really?
I think that your facts aren't 100% correct, but the tendency to have long rounds is there.
Okay. This has got to be, once again, early 90s, right? I don't think it's late 80s. I think it's early 90s, like 90,
Right.
91 maybe 89.
Now, remember, I want to say this. Remember, everybody, creative memories is a little scrapbooking hobby, but it also can be part of people that play D&D.
Mm-hmm.
They can have creative memories.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
But this
Yep.
happened. And this is not a city state. Tim was running his Knights of the Eastern Sun, which is basically his version of the Great Kingdom Knights, and they're all on flying mounts. They're all on gem dragon mounts, if you recall, Tim, right?
Yes.
They had the gem dragons back then, and this is high level adventuring, and we're in ID, I believe.
And there were like 6 of them.
Yes.
6 to 8 of them.
So there's this Gazumba, Hawk, Fensick, Leuven, the whole high level crew is adventuring, and this is back then, so who knows? They're probably 10th, 11th level at that point. And Alan has to go. It's a Sunday evening, and it was a Saturday evening. It was a Saturday evening. Alan went to church on Saturday nights back then. So Alan left for church at the beginning of a round. An hour and a half later, he comes back. It's the same round. And we're just
allegedly.
finishing it up.
And that's the creative memory part. I think it might have been the next round.
I think, well,
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Alan,
That's such an awesome
one
understatement.
round. We got through one stinking round by the time he
Yeah.
was gone and went to
Okay.
church, and then we came back. Yeah. So game flow is important.
If he did go to church.
I believe him. Alan would never lie. Yes.
So Tim, is that because you put more emphasis into combat and the aspects of it and movement and all these roles? So what?
Oh, hell, I don't remember. I was too young. I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah. But do you
So,
think
yeah, it was-
still the case because you moved fairly
No, I'm
quick?
I may
I'm
be
teaching him.
I might be slower than Jay, although we've had some long ass rounds.
Yeah.
But it has to do with the complexity of the game and
Yeah.
and the flow.
Yeah.
I thought I did pretty good actually on our barbarian
Oh my
adventure.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, you
But
did. Yep. Mhm.
Part of that was the individual initiatives, which drives the flow.
Yeah.
See,
and you also
I
moved
disagree.
the story forward between rounds, saying that, okay, now we kill this off and you move there, so to speak. So you
Oh.
made a few concessions that you probably not made unless if it weren't for the fact that it was streamed and we had a time slot.
Oh
so to speak.
yes, there would have been a lot more bad stuff would have happened to you guys if it was just
Yeah.
a true campaign ongoing and it wasn't in a 4-hour.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of the things, the changes that we have to figure out when we're and Tim has gotten way better at it. I mean, seriously. Thanks, Wiley, for the host there. And I explained to him during that one, you can't have this thing go 6 hours because you got another
Yeah.
stream for someone else you got to raid into at this point. You can't have that. And so Tim's individual initiative with his play style with not pure miniatures works for him.
Right,
Where-
and it would work because it's not randomly generated every single round.
Right, which
And
saves
so
time too.
I can go right down the list. This action,
Reprint.
your next action, this action, this, and then I have the bad guys figured into that whatever their initiative is, and it's
Yeah.
determined by dexterity, reaction adjustment, the type of armor they're wearing, the type of bulk they have, and
So,
also how injured they are.
right.
Yeah.
So
But oh, go on.
Thunder brings up a good point. Was it schloggy though? If everyone's happy with the pace, that's fine. I agree, but we're talking that is the 90s. That is when we are playing 3 times a week and we don't have families and we don't have kids to worry about, right?
Y-
All right.
Yeah,
And we're
you
in
have to
college.
streamline.
We have no responsibility. Now I have responsibility and I have all the other stuff going on in a job and I stream, right? So now we got to think about all that when you play and not to say that's an excuse, but
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah,
has
if
their
we
own
had,
stuff.
if everyone wanted to roll for initiative, individual initiative is out the window. Forget about it. Never happens.
Yeah.
So
But-
so my workaround to give fast people their advantages is streamlined so that we're not randomly determining it just haphazardly every round, which is a whole nother giant thing to track if you're not fully digitized. Because I know, Anna, one time you mentioned the
Oh yeah. Once if you use a digital tool, then that will be done automatically. You don't that will
Like Fantasy Grounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
If you have it set up, but that's required. But I was
Yeah.
thinking, Jay, you do something else that is really cool in order to you keep track of basically everything. You keep track
yeah.
of if you hit something, how much damage, or your hit points, and meaning you spoiling your players a lot, and that is not a bad thing. In many ways, it's a good thing because it speeds up things. You have a piece of paper, yeah. And I used to do a lot of that too. I had a character sheet for each character, so to speak.
So here, let's start with this.
Yeah.
Okay, for game flow. Now, consider this. My guys, I probably don't need to do it, except for Tom. I'm just kidding, Tom, if you're on there. But I keep track of, and I need this stuff for calculations for combat, especially in a THACO system. So you have your name, alignment, race, sex, whatever, class, and then I have your combats here, your main weapon and a missile weapon with plus hit and damage, then your 4 armor classes, which we use. A lot of people go, what the hell's that? Because you can see that AC there. So I have AC front, AC shieldless, AC no dex, AC rear. Okay, so I have 4 different stances. And you go, what's the difference between shieldless and rear? Well, there's a lot of differences between shieldless and rear. There's a lot of differences between no dex and rear. Because you could have a shield, you could be down the ground with a shield with no dexterity bonus, or you could be on a horse. You could be mounted via horseback and have a dex bonus.
Or your leg's injured, so you lose your dexterity bonus. So you can still have a shield.
It's kind of like that, Michael, Adventure Log format. You're really, absolutely, because I put notes all through this and hit points and hero points and all, and card stock. That way it doesn't get ripped up, and the adventuring parties, I have a stack of them for all the adventuring parties downstairs. Card stock.
I'm sure Jay's done this too, in that if you know the hit points, if you want to, for the story and enjoyment, you can fudge a damage roll to give the character one more round because he's tracking the hit points, so he knows that'll be a
True.
He can do that if he wants to, and that's
a point.
That's a good DM's option because if you're playing the grown-up game, that's the hardcore, then it doesn't matter. Then
right.
And I also think it's important to have things like perception, senses, and stuff from the different characters, so you know what they can. So you can, without having to ask them all the time, describing what they can see, what they can perceive and stuff. I want to know that, so I don't have to ask players mechanical stuff like that. I want to have that information, so I can just weave that into the description seamlessly. That is important to me.
You need to know some base things about the characters, and a lot of different streams. I don't know how the DM knows, and I'm not bashing anyone. I don't know how the DM knows what's going on because they don't even know how can you not know how many hit points? I need to know that. And Tim, you understand why too, just because of our play style. You need to know how many hit points. Because
otherwise
sometimes
you're relying on their math.
Yeah.
You're relying on their math.
And also
worse for them or better for them.
you may have, it may come up, and this is where I don't understand CR, but I'm old school, okay? I don't need CR, but if I have a group and they're beat to hell, and I have 10 whatevers at the end of a fight, say I have 10 trolls, I may go, you know what, that's ridiculous. I'm going to have 7, right?
Yeah.
I had the figures behind my screen, or I may say,
Yeah.
I usually put extras, or this has
Yeah.
been too easy, and I had 5. Now I'm going to put
Yeah.
8. So I kind of, you want to make it a little bit, there's all that flow of the
Yeah.
challenge of the game, too.
Yeah, I would keep the trolls coming, but I want to know the group status, the character status, simply because I want to know how scared they are when they see the damn trolls coming, so to speak. Meaning, if they're fully ready, I can simply say, "Well, you see 10 trolls and stuff like that." But then I'll see, now you see your doom coming, meaning they're coming for you. They are kind of so. So I want to be able to, and that's the other thing when we talked about speed. I want to cut corners sometimes because I want the players to feel like the end of the world is coming and it's coming for them, and you need to run, I speeding up things deliberately and just roll and come on, and you can even just like, oh, they're coming for you, and if they don't react, you end up at the last of the initiative and you get run over, and if they just sit there and stare at me, then the enemy will just relentlessly go on and start shooting at them and start doing things, and they have to kind of grasp the situation. When someone say, I'm going to do this, then it's like, okay, it's your turn. So sometimes I just forego initiative completely and just let it play out.
Let it flow.
Players are just staring, meaning you are surprised no matter, you don't. So sometimes I can get the players, if I stand up and kind of they come from nowhere and the players are just sitting there staring at me, I just go on and start rolling and they start hitting, and then the players like, damn, we're getting slaughtered, I'm doing something. So that happens at time too. So you can kind of forego some of the rules and replace it with interaction at the table. Not all the time, but sometimes that can work depending on your game group and your play style and stuff. But you can do so. So you can let things like surprise and stuff. If my players look surprised enough, I don't even let them roll. They just surprised, period, so to speak.
What is that you're drinking?
I am drinking double rye whiskey.
Oh,
wow.
man. So Mikey asks, is it CR helpful for newbie DMs or is it problematic? And the answer I honestly said is I have no idea, but I assume it helps.
It helps a lot because you want to, even if you like me run a pure sandboxing, meaning these monsters are there, period, or these bastards are around and they're that powerful, you still want to know how difficult life is going to be for the characters and encounters that, and you need to know it. Yeah, because if you're going to TPK them, it's very good to know that this will probably be a TPK, and you can kind of forewarn your characters. You can describe the situation and likely, so to speak, because the characters will be able to tell the local little bums that are not a threat to the professional soldiers that will come and exterminate whole towns. The characters in a world would understand the difference. They will see and perceive the difference, and that way. So descriptions and how they're perceived and stuff, I think it's very important, and that is CR kind of at a glance. And there's another function that CR has for me, and in PF2 it's called level of the monster, but it's basically the same thing. It's how powerful a monster is in one stats.
The acronym means
a challenge rating. Meaning how difficult
we don't,
the monster
Tim,
is.
it's foreign to us.
I've heard CR.
Yeah,
and I know it's third edition, right?
Third, fourth,
it's third edition, PF1,
so
and a bunch of others. Yeah.
I've heard CR more than I heard.
Ours has always been a feel, just from playing for so long.
Yeah,
and like you don't put up a troll against first level characters, or or you don't put up a were-rat against parties that don't have a single magic item, because in the old
but there is a function for CR that I use that is kind of smart to have. And that's when you, in 4th edition had one cool idea, and that was the minion rules, that you can have a lot of monsters that just died by hitting them once. And what I've done is that I kind of expanded on the minion rules. So I use the CR as the number of hit points or double depending on. So if you have a CR 5 monsters, if you have 25 of them that comes running, let's say the characters are like 12th level, and combat gets really complicated once you get past level 10, and you have, then if you throw in 25 monsters, it could take forever, and you don't want to keep track of things. You just say that, okay, they are CR5 monsters, so they have 10 hit points. If you hit them for 10 or more, then they're dead, instantly just gone. And if you hit them for less, they are around for the next round. And that way you can run bigger combat, and they can have a little bit more oomph than just one. So you can, that way, if you don't tell the players, meaning there are a few named or beefy monsters that are boss monsters kind of thing, that you run fully and you keep track of the hit points, and all the other ones you just throw them in there and they're coming, and the characters are just fighting it out with them. And that way if you can have 50 enemies, and you only need to track the hit points of 2 of them.
Here
and
comes
then
our third.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey!
Hi, Bill.
Can't hear you.
Not yet. He's connecting still.
And you're pink.
Oh yeah, he has some.
Got sunburned.
Yeah.
There you go. You got me?
Yes, we do.
Hi.
Yes, we
Cool.
do.
Sorry about that. It was decorating the Christmas tree.
That's okay.
Oh.
Do we hear something running in the background, the 3D printer?
No, because then you wouldn't hear anything.
Okay, well there you go. So
Are they noisy?
Yeah, fairly noisy, yes.
Not for me and Jay.
So Bill wasn't even around when we talked about the Alan going to church Tim one round
Which
deal.
is,
So
again, creative memories.
Bill can either
they're not
confirm or
accurate.
deny. I did not even know Bill when that happened.
No, that was before my time.
Yes. So cool. So the gang's all here. So we're going back and forth on challenge rating and some other things, but I wanted to show this, and I wanted to explain my predicament on why, for example, I do not do individual initiative. So if you take this picture down low, and I'm going to try and make an explanation here. All right, cool. I got some Dwarven Forge in here. This is Hidden Temple of Arithnal, right? All right. So and then you go, real nice picture, and then okay, you do individual initiative for that picture.
You can if you do it my way, but not if you're rolling. Not if you're rolling.
Look at it. There's how the hell am I going to do individual initiative for that fight? Look at it.
Each person is in order based on their initiative, and it doesn't change because it's basically kind of like a stat that's circumstantial.
There's 20 figures there.
Yes.
That means I have to sit there. I have to write them all down. I have to. It's just So I mean that alone. The way miniatures does not, and me do not mix with individual initiative. Bill, look at that picture from that angle. So what, Bill? Have you ever missed not having individual initiative in our game? Or like
no, not really. I mean, maybe if it was small group, it's one thing, but when you got 25 combatants on the table, just for speed and simplicity, at least in my experience, it's always been single initiative. But that's the way I've always done it. So it was group initiative roll. So I mean, there's other methods, but I mean, this is what we've been using since 92 when I started with you guys. So just the way it is.
Yeah, so I know Fantasy Grounds can calculate this, but it's just something else. I have to program all those figures in the Fantasy Grounds, even though I'm not playing it. Prometheus.
Having it change every round would be a nuisance and a pain in the butt.
But then it's not an individual initiative.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. It's individual initiative for one round, and then it doesn't matter at that point. It's not. It's a fake individual initiative. A true individual initiative is rolled every round.
Yeah, that is normally
initiative is actually a military.
No military discussion.
The initiative. Well, that's what it is.
But it's not. But then again, there's no point if you only roll it one time and you rolled a terrible one the first time.
You
You're going to
don't
go
roll.
what?
I'm saying you don't roll.
But
That's how I
that's
ran the last Dervilia game, and that's how I ran the Barbarian
but
game.
that's fine. And your
I'm
play
just saying
style,
it's
it works.
doable, and I'm saying it's doable because each person has a laid out sequence
It's
of
not
turns.
doable in this when you have 20 figures, and now I have to write them down somewhere.
No, but the thing is, the way if I had, let's say they're fighting 20 orcs,
The orcs all
all
have the
the
same
orcs
initiative.
will go on one initiative.
Yeah,
Unless there is some special one, meaning you have you have a shaman in the back, and you have like the orc chieftain, and you have so they're two separate ones that do separate roles. So I would roll for each for them, and then all the 20 orcs will go in once. But the important thing is where the characters will end up, meaning you might have one character, if they open the door or do something, that will be initially ready to go, meaning the important thing is the wizard that stands in the
Right.
background and ready to cast a fireball. How ready is he? That will be the key question the first round, meaning is he ready to fire it, or will he go last and all the orcs will swarm in or something? So I think the characters is the essential to see how spread out they are, so to speak.
It doesn't work with the way we use miniatures, and I'm going to show you in a second all why. Because we have movement to the combat and movement to the engagement, where someone can now shoot that even though it looks like the figure's next to it as they're advancing, correct? So if we do individual initiative, that goes away, number one. Then it turns into a 5e slug where you start attacking, moving, and then there's figures all over the place, and then you lose track of who's going.
What does the attacking and moving thing have to do?
Because now you have this one is attacked. Now I'm going to move. This one hasn't attacked yet. It's too much, man. It's too. I can't. In miniature style, it just doesn't work because of the ranges and because of missile fire coming in. It doesn't work for the way we play. It may work for the way Tim you play but you're not doing. Remember, you're doing a little bit more of a.
I'm not doing the 5e. I'm not doing the 5e.
I understand that. You're doing a little more of a theater of the mind.
Well, also, I tweak the movement based on your overall movement determines them. Like Jay moves, it moves 10 feet, and then you can attack. So you have up to 10 feet free movement, from basically.
Right.
I have that range of movement is different for people who are like, if you're not encumbered at all, you can move like 24 feet. You can move further. But if you're doing a mass melee and you want to make it simple and you want to keep everyone to the 5-foot squares or 10-foot squares, then it makes more sense for managing it all. And
so but you also, Jay, I have to ask in this, you also have that everything happens simultaneously, right? I think that's the key, meaning I simply, I've kind of removed that real logic, meaning everything, you chop up reality into individual slots, and then they move, and the next player and character simply have to deal with a new reality, so to speak, and then you move on. So they're like separate realities, and it's to gamify it a little bit, but that's the way that works for my brain to think about it, so to speak.
Yeah, we have everything via 2 segments. Actually, there's 3. Okay, the first segment is group that wins initiative.
Okay.
All the actions that happen on that group happen at the same time. Now, we do not use casting times. Once again, if I have to throw that into the mix of a fight with 20 characters and worry about what round that goes off, I never have it on the right time. Never. Oh my God, it should have happened 2 segments ago, right? Trust me, I know. Plus, once again, we're lucky if we know how the duration of spells. Like prayer, it's been 40 years. We're lucky if we know the duration of spells. Secondly, it's true. The second group attacks. The second group attacks or moves. Now, I'm just breaking it. Thirdly, the delayed initiative winners can act, and that's the action. That's the action phases. Now, within that, there's a lot of different sub things going on from each one's movement. And the question is, like, for this fight up here that you see, I'm showing now, I'll cover part of Bill. expand on it. This fight outdoors. So you got a guy up on the hill. And I wanted to show this specifically because you have now bad guys coming from both sides. You have a dark elf up on the left. You have the Erythnol gnolls and bugbears from the right, and the group's kind of in the middle, in between. So now you have things coming from all sides. Once again, if I do an individual initiative on this, my head's going to explode, because it's just like, I love big fights, and this was always the problem, was how do you take into account, well, that guy fireballs over here, but one of the characters has already moved off, so you didn't. It's you understand what I'm saying? One of the bad guys moved off, but the other three didn't. You know what I mean? And that tends.
The bad guys, you could make it for ease. Just all the bad guys have the same initiative.
Then there's no point in group initiative. There's no point in.
No, there isn't, because that determines which characters go first.
For me, yeah,
and some of the characters may be going after the bad guys.
Exactly. That's the key. It's to see how ready the different characters are, and find out. Yeah. And
I don't care who you are. If you're in full plate, you are not jumping off the speed line. The starting blocks as fast as somebody super light.
No, but you might react and start your what you're doing before someone else, but it might take a while. You're not doing that, meaning you can't run as fast, and there are the limitations. But
there's limitations to how fast you can start moving.
Yeah.
Once again, I have no problem with anyone else having their own system. It's perfectly fine.
This is something. Yeah, this is something that you have to kind of figure out how it works quickly and efficiently.
All right. If I were to even put individual initiative in for players and not the bad guys, give me the increase in time each round would take, Bill. 25% to 50.
Well, everyone's got to pay attention first.
Yeah, and if you do it every round, that's kind of that's ridiculous. So unless I have computer aid, so I do it per combat.
Generally, we have multiple characters per person.
That's true. We don't have a one per. Yeah.
Where and after the first round or two, it's fine. But in a prolonged fight, I guarantee you, someone's going to go to the bathroom. We're going to miss a turn. Someone's not paying attention. Someone's looking at chat. Somebody's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all preference, though. I mean, if you like to have individuals in your game, then so be it.
I prefer it.
The best way of doing it.
You adapt. Exactly, Thunder. You adapt to your players. So, I've adapted my players with the following. We either in group initiative, I go from front of combat to back with the figures to keep track of them, or back to front, depending on how the fight is going. So, for example, if I go from front to back, let me just show a fight here that you can see. Let's go to this one here. All right, so this fight right here, the people in red and you can see the mountain figure there. That's your Bill Saxon. And back, I go from front to back. All the ones engaged in melee in combat, I go first. I get to call out who goes, and then they go. And in an adventures game with everyone around the table, or some people remote and some are at the table, and it eliminates confusion on my part. I get better control of the game by telling when you go.
Yeah, that's what I do with like if they have a bunch of enemies, I go from the enemies that are up close to combat and then further out into the back, so to speak.
Yeah, so at Mystery, that adds another level of complexity, and if you want realism, that's great. It's just to knowing where, if we added weapon speed factor in, and then we add spellcasting times in, you're looking at calculations and mistakes, and everyone has two characters in my game, not one. And oh my God, I'm sorry, it was this guy, not that guy. I told you the wrong one.
There's a cost. So the cost must be reckoned with when you make it more complex.
Yes.
Yeah,
there is.
I was just also my saying, you could do it that way. It wouldn't be impossible. Is in no way an argument from me suggesting that Jay change it.
I understand that.
I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying that whenever someone says you can't do something, I'm like, I bet you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're not going to go outside of D&D ever Canadian, but we will add other aspects of D&D in, of other systems in, and yeah, and Von Molko, you say weapon seed factor and spell casting times are for you, which is great, but I'm talking. I'm sitting around with a bunch of 50-year-old men at my table, and I always laugh at this, but they didn't remember what they had for lunch. So how am I gonna? You know what I mean? I'm right, Bill.
Turkey sandwich.
You know, it all depends on the week.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I wasn't directed toward you. I was directed toward the group in general. So
well, no, I mean to myself. I mean, you'll call out and talk about adventures and stuff that we did, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
so
And we could have ran it 3 weeks ago, and I'd be like, no
yeah.
idea.
So
That's why I have to write everything down, because I'm getting older and more people.
oh, cool, man. The tweak.
I moved
Yeah.
my camera around. Somebody had asked me
Yeah.
if I was doing a simulated fire. I'm like, no, only real fire.
So a couple
And
things.
Soiling at a cauldron outside.
John at Blue
I
Box
have a cauldron.
does the initiative the same way, and he took it from our game, and he also does calling out the movements as well, because once again, we're talking about a miniatures game, miniatures combat streamed, and that shrinks the time frame down too. So
And it can be very exciting. It can be very exciting. And now
yeah, that's true.
some people, because you're like, who's got initiative? But then sometimes it can be just arbitrary. Like who having to roll a higher die but it may not have any reflection of the battlefield. If you're reeling from getting, fireballed and lightning bolted 8 times, and suddenly, they want initiative. It's like, well, how did they get the jump on you after they just got blasted with all that ordnance? How did they suddenly? They're ahead of the game now. You know what I mean? That's
Understood. I will ask this question of everyone in the audience, and you can answer it honestly. Anna, you too could answer this honestly.
Yeah.
What is, using whatever 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5e, or even Pathfinder, the largest number of creatures you've done in a combat?
For me, it's the ones that I've used. I have 3 tiers of combat system, but if I take all the 3 tiers, it's probably about 5,000.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, but that I'm used because I have like the full rule systems, the full normal rule system, and then I have the minion rules that it's simplified.
25.
Yeah, and then I have the mass combat rules that is super simplified, that only do once a minute, like every 10 rounds.
You said okay. There's your key there. Super simplified. So using Pathfinder 1e rules, base 1e.
Then I probably have about 200. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 200. Yeah, 200. Yeah. And that makes it simple because most of them don't participate actively, meaning they're in the scene.
Okay.
They are gearing to come in and fight, meaning the characters can see them, they can cast spells at them and stuff, but they're not engaged in melee, but they're in the scene. Yeah, definitely. They're in the same encounter, they're in the same ready to do battle and stuff, and so on. So yeah, so about 200. Yeah, I think about 200. Yeah.
So
all with markers on my tiles, so to speak, in any game store. Yeah.
Siege fights with big keeps. What do you think, Bill? Maybe 100 absolute max. We did with the one, and those rounds were long.
Yeah, that was a long fight. The fight at
Winchester's Bulwark. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was a long fight. I mean because we had orcs and giants and ogres and trolls on one side.
Yeah.
We had advanced giants on the other side, plus the people who were breaking in. So yeah, there was probably 75 to 100 at least.
Jay, are you counting the battle with the one of the first earliest adventures I was in?
That was only Well, remember once again, that was an Anna style where most of that was going on in the background.
Well, it's because I was using Mass Effect.
Right, exactly. And we were all, and I was 14 years old or whatever, and you were 13, and it was Monty Hall. But that was like, there was 50 pikemen and 3 PCs against 1,000 troops from the
we had the pikemen do a feint, and then I led the charge with a Bigby's clenched fist.
Yes. And
But sometimes I want the combat like that for the players to feel like it's becoming a grind, it's becoming a blur, it's becoming
Yeah.
difficult, and so on. That's part of combat fatigue and situational awareness going down and stuff like that. I want the players to feel like, what the fuck are we gonna sell and this doesn't work, and how do we get sales? I don't even know what way to run, so to speak. So I can kind of hammer it out, and that's when I'm sometimes as a DM have done on deliberately just gone in, roll dice, we do this and we do this, and round after round after round, so 12 rounds into it, they feel like this is just a grind, I don't get any of it, because I want the players to stop thinking creatively, and I want the enemy to overwhelm them kind of mentally. I want the players to just like go in and just, I roll this and I just keep track of this and don't stop thinking. So then another set of enemies come in and start thinking tactically and creatively and stuff. So the players need to
that's not
get
nice.
No, it's not, but I want to kind of get the feel for combat that
happens.
I envision. Yeah.
It's like that. It's like the combat tunnel vision.
Yep.
You get tunnel vision.
Yep.
You don't see what's going on
Exactly.
around you, and you get outmaneuvered.
I want the players to feel that at the game table by doing things like that. So yep. I want it to be monotonous and confusing and stuff like that. And yeah.
We back in the day. Good, Tim. Go.
So I was gonna say, when you went against the slaver brigands, it was like one of the last couple.
That was like 50.
Ago. That was 170.
But we didn't have 170 figures
about
out.
100. No. Well, I kept reusing the dead ones.
Yeah. That was
That's what you do.
Pretty nasty.
But there was 12 fireballs and like 4 melee rounds.
Right.
So that cleaned it out good.
So, with minis now a huge part of the game, do you limit the number to the number of minis you have? And the answer, Cadian, is no, because as you see behind, I'm nuts with, if there's a mini, I want it, right? I want to have that mini, as many as possible. Very rarely now.
Wants it painted and right.
And customized.
Piece of terrain to go with it.
Bill, there's a lot of plastic minis out there. So I was prepping for the first level of N1, which we're doing Thursday, and I have all the minis I need for it. And here, we'll do a little. This is called, and I'll do this later on too. Here's a little. But once again, how close do you get to the spirit of the game, and how close in miniatures and in streaming can you get to having exactly that terrain? It's almost impossible, right? Think about it. To put up old school maps, take up the entire page. You know, you can't. It's almost impossible to get. And I'm looking at the wrong number, aren't I? Where did I save it to? Did I save it to the wrong place? I probably saved it to the wrong file. I can't even find it. Oh my gosh.
What are you talking about, Jay?
I'm not talking about anything. This. There we go. That. Okay. First level of N1. I got it up. So there you go. Got it up. Yep.
Here's a boat.
I had a recommendation, and Jay just did a just node. He just node me.
Yeah, you can't. Yes.
Yeah, I said let's nuke the site from orbit. And
no, you must go in and you must deal with it. So still, if you're looking at, we did battle system at first, and battle system I didn't like, and so we said we got to convert these large scale battles to this rule system we're using with miniatures.
Yeah.
It slows the game down a lot. And Anna says, if you're doing thousands, you have different, very basic rule systems for it.
That's why I use challenge rating. That works well. I use the challenge rating as the hit points, attack rolls, and defense roll all in one go. And you can also aggregate them. So you can have 100 orcs that have like half, that will be challenge rating 50.
Okay.
And meaning they will be slow in moving but they will have a hell of a fighting power if you get into them in the same square. And I also use hexes that are 100 feet per hex, and so they can basically move 1 hex. A dragon, on the other hand, might be challenge rating 25, but he can move like 6 hexes in. And I also do every 10 rounds, I make one of these large. I called it surrounding battles because that was what it was for. It was for the surrounding battles when we had large battles, and then the dragon come in, and the dragon. So then I roll a d20 and add the challenge rating. and in the attack roll, and then I roll the defense. You roll an attack or the defense roll. So each combatant rolled one roll, and that's the attack roll and the defense roll. And the difference in the roll is how much damage the other side takes. And if the dragon, and that's the difference, dragon is 1 unit, and if you have 100 orcs, let's say that they are, or let's say 50 orcs with half a challenge rating. That means that they will have challenge rating 25, and one dragon has challenge rating of 25. You think that, oh, they're equal? In a way, they are, because if the dragon comes in close, then and start fighting them, they are equal. But the thing is that if the dragon wins by 5, that means that they killed off that many orcs, and they're kind of gone. So I just notes the challenge rating, and the dragon also can fight at a distance. You can come in and
why would he come in?
breath weapon, and so the dragon can come in and attack like 2 hexes away, and just do his roll his die and basically wipe out the orcs without even getting close. But once if the orcs manage to surround and go into the same hex as another one, they are brutal and could finish off almost anything. So it becomes easy. And the only thing that I need to run in real combat is the 1 hex where the characters are, and all the other stuff happens every 10 rounds. We did the surrounding battles, and the players rolled their 1d20 for all the units on their side, and I did for the other side, and then we recorded it, and that usually went faster than the round and one round did with the characters. So it was kind of quick, and then you can have like, there's 100 horsemen here, there's a bunch of goblins there, a dragon here, a demon there, or something, and so that actually worked really well. You can have like, hundreds and you can even have 25 units, and that will take like 2 minutes to kind of do. And we actually had counters with that, small counters. I ran that on a separate table, and I had counters that I had like dry erase markers, so I could just wrote the current challenge rating, because that was the only thing I needed to know. One number that was on each, just had a silhouette, what kind of unit it was, and then I simply had the challenge rating. That was it. The number of units, meaning it was a 10 orcs, or so it was like orc 10 and or 50 goblins or whatever it was, or 1 dragon or 1 demon. It was very, very simple, and just a challenge rating number. That
Mystery Cycle ASN, if you have that written down anywhere.
No, I haven't, because it was so simple, but I definitely should write it down, because it's so simple. You just use the challenge rating. There's only 2 things you have to keep track of: the number of units, challenge rating, and the range which they can operate. Meaning,
battle system was similar, except it had a morale rating too, and it had breaking rules and all that stuff.
I just superficially did it, meaning if they got half routed, I simply say, okay, they're kind of screwed. If they rolled real badly, they ran off, so to speak. So I just
here's
in the
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
No, go ahead, because I got a question from you.
I was going to say, I know we did some of the larger battles when you guys took Sir Brisbar's forces. You took them out. It was mostly it's a plot device. It's a storyline.
Sure.
Not really being turned into a strategic or operational game, but their plan and how they plan on executing it matters. So if they do something dumb, that's not going to end up so well. And then leadership, because highly motivated people can defeat larger forces that are less motivated and less interested. And so that's kind of how that happened. And then of course focusing on where the characters are at in those moments. But I remember the battle, you guys came up with really very, very sound, very smart ways of dealing with them, and then his forces, and then took it straight to him, and that was it.
We have a large-scale fight coming up when we finally finish the 5th part of the Shieldlands mini series, where we go to the ruins of the Gradavis estate, and we fight and the Ayu's army that's going to be there. But a lot of that's going to be story-driven as well, and that the characters are going to have the high-level versus high-level combat with all the fighting going around it. You know what I mean? We'll have that out, so that's coming. So because.
Really?
Yeah, Bill's Bill. There you go. Show. Put them up. So Bill, this is Gamescape 3D. Okay, these are ruins that Bill is printing. Look at that. So these are ruins that are being printed for for that adventure. There you go. Look at that. Very nice stuff. Yeah, cool
That
stuff.
looks awesome.
Very,
You haven't
very
painted,
cool.
you haven't painted them yet?
Just listen to
They're
you.
primed.
That's,
That's as far as I
I'm
got.
just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
just kidding.
that's coming up. Whether it's the end of December or the beginning of January, we're going to be running that. So I don't think I'm going to do a large scale castle siege like I did in October of 20.
I'm busy painting outhouses.
Yes, so and that's
Ooh,
an
that
Infinite
is so
Dimensions
cool.
piece. Yeah, that's
Yep.
our first piece from Infinite Dimensions.
When you've got to go.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is something that is very rarely depicted in games, which I think is a bummer because we can have some fun stuff.
Oh, Miniature Building Authority's I got 2 outhouses on my table all the time
Cool.
during
Yep.
cities. He's got 2. I got 2 of those.
I had excrement feature heavily in our city state game
Yeah, of course you did.
in the jail.
Oh my gosh, yeah. My feet hides in the outhouse. Ah. So you never have enough ruins or privies. Exactly. So
Spells for 8 that had 20 in them.
give me a Bill. Do you agree with me or not? And elaborate on this. The big keep siege is good for once every 5 years for us. At
Yeah,
best.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fun, but anytime you have an army, it's campaign changing in an area, so you overdoing it can be too much.
So what I did was in the siege of the watchtowers in Pomars was what did we do instead?
Well, there was a lot of mercenary troops there.
But how did we break it up?
Oh, it was a lot of small fights.
We did scenarios. So we did scenario based. We kind of encapsulated the entire thing in a small microcosm. What's going on here? What's going on there? And we had 5 scenarios we ran, kind of like we did for the Shieldlands too, because it gets to be the point where it's so big that you lose it. You lose perspective as to what's going on.
Well, the big grand battle
Yeah.
isn't a big grand battle for the individual small people doing their thing. Unless you're the commander, it is a big grand battle. But if
Right.
you're just a guy,
Yeah.
your piece of it is it. That's it.
That's very true. So Lexfire George Bill is doing those ruined keeps towers like you have been. You know what I mean? With yeah, very nicely done. He showed me one in Discord. It's nice. So he's coming along pretty well.
He does nice work. I mean,
Yeah.
if that two-sided piece is any indication, he does great work.
That's funny. Populate privies with rock crabs. All right, so I think we beat a dead horse enough on just the system and the miniatures and initiative and all that, and I just wanted to put that out there that my way is not for everyone. It's not maybe for 90% of them, but if you play a miniature style, it works for the way we play. If you play in a VTT and you have access to fantasy grounds and you can snap out an individual initiative, that's the way to go, man. Because you can, and you have eight characters in a fight. It's a little different,
I actually think, Jay, in college I had about 18 player characters, and there were 55 man-at-arms plus the Ash and Trash. It was like one of those kind of random encounters you could run into in the Bandit Kingdoms. And they ambushed them on a road. The characters ambushed them on a road. So that's probably the biggest real each individual. Not I didn't have enough miniatures for everything, but we did do single initiative.
Okay.
Yeah. So
for 18 you
18 player characters plus NPCs. Actually, I think
you played you DM'd the game for 18 people.
No. There were 18 player characters.
Oh,
actually, the biggest one was 12 players, but it was in college. There was like 9 of them, but they were very disciplined. I mean, when it came time to do their thing, it was right around the table, and it was.
Bill, what's the biggest we've ever done with people around the table? 10? Because 10.
Warhammer, I've had 24.
Oh my gosh.
That's 24 characters and NPCs.
Yeah, but that if it's a special occasion, you're having fun, and you're having a bunch of people over non-COVID days. Yeah, well then it's awesome. It really is. More people the merrier. And for the fundraiser, who knows how many people we're going to have on that night for the fundraiser finale. That'll be a blast as I'm working on that. And Bill has figures of paint for that too, right? So.
Oh, yeah. More than I care to think about.
What's that?
More than I care to think about. I'll have to give up painting terrain to paint miniatures for a while.
Well, yes, probably, because especially now that and I'll do an announcement with Gamescape 3D. Jeremy's helping us out, Bill and me, with something which is going to be awesome. So Canadian asks, I used to play the RPG of BattleTech, and we would switch over to the tabletop rules games for battles, and then switch back to the RPG. Well, guess what? BattleTech. So did we. And then Bloodwild says, would be awesome to see the crew here play BattleTech. The last BattleTech game we streamed was 2 years ago this week. We did it in December. What's that?
We didn't stream it.
Yes, we did. Tom played. We streamed it. Yes, we did. We streamed the BattleTech game. Absolutely. Yeah, we did, man. We
didn't finish, though. We're still trying to finish that one.
No, we finished that one. No, we finished it. Yeah. We finished it. Yeah. We did a half BattleTech, half D&D stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We did. And I think this is pre-you. It's like the second week. Second week of
talked
December
about it, but
2018.
I haven't seen or heard about it. Yep.
Yeah. So maybe that'll come over the holidays when we have I have a ton of free time, and maybe I'll do a BattleTech scenario. So thanks a lot there for coming on, David, and good night and pleasant dreams there. Giving our shout out there. All right. So someone also asks, critical hits, love them or hate them, and fumbles. The answer is love them to death. To a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean they're fun when they go to your way.
Yes.
And not so fun when they go against you.
Note this. I have not had 3 PCs killed off in 2 weeks' time from critical hits, Tim. Tim gave his sheet. Everyone knows Mysterious Tim's tables he gave to John, and he killed 3 PCs with them.
Hey, that's on the DM, not me. I'm sure John would agree.
All right, so Von Moko, you got these. All right, so here's the deal. These started out, and let's talk about
like 4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks. These started out as Roger Moore's base critical hit table. All right, and the fumble table, I'm not sure, but Alan, everyone knows Alan, the guy who's in the corner. This is his claim to fame and his main contribution to like the mechanics, plus a lot of classes of our game. He tweaks these every year to 2 years, and he has a new one now. These aren't even updated. He added some, and I hit, what was it, the same fumble twice on Thursday, on Tuesday night, where snapped his Achilles. It was unbelievable. I fumbled twice. So these are all mixed up, and you see the red is what's called FUBAR. FUBAR is red. That 13, do you see that skull crushed immediate death? Joanna did that to the priest of the Earth Dragon on Tuesday night. That I rolled that up. So here's your critical hit table. It's edged, blunt, and missile thrusting. On the fumble table, we have fumbles, and they're 0, 1 to 100 up for characters and then monsters. All right, it's that simple. Now, we don't want to go more than this. Because once again, I don't want to bog the game down, and I want to be able to roll percentile dice on the crit or fumble, or if they roll. Because remember, we have improved criticals now. We have keen weapons. We have massive crit weapons. So I do not want to have to go beyond these reference charts. And I'm not saying anything about Tim, but when Tim DMs, and I have been the beneficiary of his massive, awful crit tables with my character Devillia multiple times, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
Individual initiative Greyhawk Wars battle. You need to go for the world record D&D combat round. Individual initiative Greyhawk Wars battle. Big Mac, can you imagine me spending like a 6-hour round? I'd go insane, man. Right?
Well, everyone would have gone home by then. Too,
yeah, exactly. So
we'd way past my bedtime.
Well, Jay, not only that, but you'd have to roll each one, but then they would also role play their action, so you'd have to describe it in detail.
Right. So I did describe Joanna's skull crushing event Tuesday night. I did describe that one. Now, John at Blue Box is very descriptive, and Tim's really fit in. Once again, every player has one character and one character only. They mean a lot more in that game. When you think about it, that character dies, like Gimbal that's catastrophic because that's his only character. My game, my guys may have 2 characters. Someone couldn't come. Bill and Alan had 3 on that Tuesday night. We're streamlined a little bit, but there's some very descriptive things in
Well,
these.
but also we also have like a total. You have a total of how many player characters total? Like on the docket, 2,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, so we're only playing 2 in that game, but there's a whole multitude of others.
Yeah, I have no problem giving these out to everyone. All I ask is that you please just say where you got them from the Lord Gazumba Channel's game. You know, that's fine. I have no problem giving you these. No, and that's the thing. Over 40 years, we have 20 different adventuring. Tim, Bill, Alan, how many characters you have in the campaign? Bill, 65?
Yeah, probably in that range.
60.
Yeah.
Bill has 65 characters. Tim has about 40.
I was going to say 40.
40.
Guess that.
Anna has 3.
Yeah.
Anna's got 3.
Yep. Already.
If you count Mario, Imri, and your Elven Cavalier. Oh my gosh, I forget. Yes.
But I like Imri is my favorite.
Absolutely.
I played her the most. She's kind of fun.
Ranger Mage or Fighter Mage, right?
Ranger Mage. She's still 6'6". She's almost 6'7". And she gets 2 choices.
That's the one you played Saturday night, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Saturday before. She gets her choice of 2 spells, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th from that book she got.
She's 6th level mage, but still feels very weak and can barely cast any spells, it feels like. So yeah.
I will get these all out to everyone either tonight or tomorrow morning because I'm working on my home office tomorrow. Please note that. So anyone who's requesting it, no problem. I promise. Because we want to, like I said, we want to spread the wealth here. We're not about, we'll share anything. I know someone asked for all of our rules. I can't, there's no way. It's impossible. If you have a specific request, we're more than happy.
They haven't necessarily all been codified in writing, really.
That's true. And that's good.
Yeah.
Anna, what do you think about crit system?
I've used I just used the basic. You just double the damage, and then when PF1 came around, then I actually they had a crit deck. It was like a deck of cards that had different effects. So if you used melee, if you used spells, or if it was like, they used one for slashing, bludgeoning, and piercing weapons, and then it was for spells. So various different effects, but it was it made the crits more interesting, but also nastier in many ways because you had persistent effects and all that stuff. And there's one thing that players realize after a while is that the characters will get affected by crits way more often over time than monsters will, and the opponents will, simply by pure statistic, because they will be in every fight. The monsters are usually, and NPCs, whatever, usually in only one fight. So they get affected over time. So whatever rules you will have will cripple the characters more than it will cripple the enemies over time.
And that was Leonard's argument.
Yeah.
About it, but I will come back with this in our
but
game.
I like it. I didn't. Yeah, I still like it to this day to have it. So, and with PF2 now, the crits are more common because if you roll 10 over what you need, it's an automatic crit.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Confirmation, yeah. So 10 more.
Wow, Tim.
20 or 10 more. If natural 20 is a hit, it's a crit. And 10 more than necessary. Yeah. So high level characters crit against low levels, like, yeah. Meaning if you're 20 level barbarian or fighter and you come along a whole bunch of little goblins, damn, that's why you can start using multi-attack. And really, so that is something that crits. And that means that I have to think again, do I want to have like a crit deck or something? Because that will add, just like in individual initiative, that will add to the time. Because if you start critting, if it takes a minute to resolve a crit, then it will take forever, so to speak. It takes a long time.
When you can also adjust the minion rules where a certain range, like if you roll within a certain range,
Yeah.
it just kills them. It's like it's so debilitating that
Oh yeah,
minion's
exactly.
done.
That's how I do it. If you're high level and they are low level, and then I don't even. If you're in the ballpark of killing them, that will
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Because you don't need to hear about their broken femur.
No,
You
no,
just
no, no,
know
no.
that they're dead.
Here's the thing, and Bill will agree with me on this, I think. I still want to roll it and see what it was.
Yes, I do
Okay.
too.
It happens
But
every time.
Yeah, but I have
Yeah.
some.
I still want to see how much damage I
nasty-
did.
Sorry, go on.
No,
Sorry.
it's true. In our game, that's what happens, which is
Yeah.
cool because it's a
Yeah.
momentous hit.
But I understand Len's argument saying that they're heroes. They should not lose toes and eyes and noses and all that over time. It gets complicated. So my crit is more like there are certain weapons like the Vorpal weapon, for instance, and you have certain weapons that are fiendishly crippling, so to speak. And what they do is that they instantly attack you into your, meaning if you go in and do a crit, then they instantly cut you down from 0 and downward, so to speak. So a Vorpal weapon doesn't necessarily chop your head off every crit, but it might be that what they do is that they start cutting limbs and stuff. So when you crit with that one, you start doing negative damage instantly on
Okay.
the meaning, and that is, so there are
That's
some nasty weapons
Oh,
like
yeah.
that can be. And when I had players, when their characters realized the enemy had ones of those weapons, they were like, "Oh, this is terrifying." It's like
Oh,
2
it is
hits and
terrifying.
I'm almost dead, so to speak. I'm laying there crawling in my guts almost instantly, and that was real. And they wanted it, and it was one of these black weapons with like magic and oost of whatever. But then they can get a good version of it that will cut down demons and or undeads or something like that with almost equal, meaning it's like, it's very, very effective compared to other weapons.
Here is the nuance, though,
Yeah.
to our game that can eliminate. And you said this: what heroes need to be heroes. That's what hero points are for. The special
Yes.
hero points
Yeah.
negate those crits,
Yes,
and a lot
exactly.
of the players that in my game hold them not to crit the enemies, but to not get crit. Correct, Bill?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, also we have a built-in proficiency too, if you so choose, that can affect crit rolls.
Which we haven't even gotten to yet.
Oh yeah, which I
Oh,
love.
is
I
that
always
bit like
think that
keen weapons in 3.5?
Well, we have
Yes.
one to help negate
No.
them as well too. I don't
Improved
know if
crit.
it's lucky or which one it is.
No, it's improved critical.
You can
Improved
adjust
critical.
the crit roll 1 point or either way, or 2 points depending on your level.
It means you have a 10% chance every swing to crit.
If you have a keen weapon, yeah.
Uh-huh.
No,
yeah.
no, not with improved crit.
What?
Right. Now, or yes, or with improved crit.
Yeah,
With
that's
whatever
money right there.
that specific
Yeah.
weapon, yeah.
Yeah. So mystery. I'll tell you this. At first, I was worried about the system. I think my guys now they may rely on it a little bit and like it, and I know my guest games love it when the audience participates. And I'll say this: very rarely do I get a lot of special hero points. It normally goes to the players. Unless we have Casey and then Tim going back and forth at it, or Josh Pop, being a smart ass and doing it. But then he gives them to Anna too. But normally they go to the players, and because everyone who plays, and like Tim, Enoch, Prometheus, Amy,
Those points
Asher.
go to Tim and they go to Tom. Come on.
Yeah. They all played in the game. They understand that those special hero points could be the difference between life and death in the game. All right, so let's talk about this. We got fumbles down. We got crits down. We all admit Tim's crits are nasty, and I know that maybe Blue Box will be giving them out at some point, Tim. Hey, that's cool.
Yeah, we're working on this. I'm working on the fumbles to go with it, and the fumbles will be weapon sort of specific as well.
Okay, very, very cool.
The
That's
fumble with the
awesome.
bow is different than fumble with the sword.
Well,
But
that makes sense.
Yeah, but one of the things that I like in Pathfinder 2 is that they added various different crit effects depending on the weapon. So they can do extra damage dice,
good.
they can do a whole bunch of stuff. So different weapons. So some weapons are kind of clumsy and don't do much damage, but when you crit with them, damn, they can be
Like a
devastating.
chopstick.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, there's some of them can be really crippling when you crit. So I kind of like it when you kind of walk around with some big thing that doesn't do much, but once you get that damn thing, is like when you crit, you can get an automatic hit on the guy next to it, so to speak. So one of these things. So you can, some weapons, and that means that they might only be good for really strong high level characters that can do, or monsters that can do or NPCs that can do so much. They're so good
Here
to
it
hit
is.
that they can be useful. So yeah.
So this is, Canadian Patrick sent a lot of different publications out. Here's the giveaway for tonight. It's in,
Oh,
yes, DM's Guild reprint, Morning Kane's Fantastic Adventure by Robert
Hmm.
Kuntz and Gary Gygax.
yeah.
Okay, WG5.
Boom.
Yep.
That's one of the most gray hockey.
Yes, that's
It
why I
looks
figured
so
talking
gray
about this
hockey,
tonight would
yeah,
be a good
because
one.
yeah,
Certain
it
types of
looks
armor
so
protect
gray
against
hockey.
crits, like a helmet against head blows. Lord Fourth, the answer to that is yes. There's on these charts. I'll give you. There's one that says throat cut, it's unless helmed, or
Yeah, ear removed and less helmed, eye removed and less helmed.
arm
And
removed unless shield. There's a lot. There's some of them on here. Yes.
I'm doing some of the adding of that into
Yes.
my crits as well, because mine didn't have any of those, so I'm adding some of those in.
A lot of people, yes. So it's good, and it's, once again, just like every rule that we have, it's breathing and living. It changes. It's subject to change in our game. And I've always
Yeah.
tweaking things, and I want to talk about, yeah. So if you know, hey, this is good. This giveaway is good also for people who don't have it. And once again, Patrick, thank you very much for helping us out here to give out great stuff like this. Proficiency system. Everyone knows that there's a weapon proficiencies in 1E, 2E, and it's weapon specific. It's not this what do they call them, exotic weapon deal, martial or simple. It's by weapon. Now what we did was this is the class proficiency updates I have here. We made them quicker, and we added some to others that start. So a fighter starts with 4, and now they get them every 2 levels instead of every 3. So it's faster. Take that with, and here a lot of the base classes, are down here, and then you flip that to this page, and here are your proficiencies that I allow in this game. Every one of these, almost every one, we've seriously play tested. Some of these are not used as many as others, but for our system it works. Specialization was always in, and double specialization.
I liked them so much, I adopted about 90% of them.
There you go.
Yeah.
So consider this a 3rd edition rule we've merged into 1E, 2E. We have. But I have scoured and looked for a lot more to add, and right now we have 39 different ones, and some of them are spellcasting, some of them are melee, some of them are role play, and some of them really make a huge difference in the way the game flows. And I'm going to tell you number one would be what effect, Bill, that I ripped off from WoW.
Well, we have for fighters.
Yes.
Are you talking about?
Well, yeah, because you can take it as proficiency.
Battle shout and demoralizing shout and/or taunt.
Taunt. Okay, taunt has changed the game, because now, if you think about that, and let me just give you a situation where a fighter has taunt. So here, this picture here, the big mountain character, the Saxon, he has mass taunt, and now he taunts. He can taunt up to 3 of the individuals. This is something that didn't exist in 1E, 2E. They have to, if they're in melee, they have to fight them for 3 rounds. Well, that completely changes now that they're not moving off of that character, and then it frees up other characters. Well, that just changed the dynamic of combat if that character has it. Bill, what
They have to?
they've been taunted. Yes, they have to.
So
Now,
they have to.
No, they don't have to fight. That's the person they're attacking. They can heal themselves, but they're in combat. So if there's 2 people,
on that person.
yes, they've insulted them to the point where they're so angry. Yes, it's Bill, how's it changed the game?
Well, I mean, it changed the game because now you can actually build characters with focused skill traits. For instance, we have a Dwarven Shiltane class, which is basically a pure tank, but I have a character that's an Inquisitor, a lawful good Inquisitor. So his idea is just find the biggest, baddest, evil thing and taunt it so it stays on me. I can have an excessively low armor class. Being a lawful good paladin, the evils are -2 to hit me. So it makes, I can be the tank and let other people just haul off and hit them, because it allows other people to take other skills, such as overpower, to combine with it. I taunt a creature that attacks me for 3 rounds.
If they
You
fail
got
their petrification save.
the other petrification save. Now, say you have a fighter mage who's fighting with me. Well, then maybe they took the overpower skill. So now they can not worry about getting attacked for 3 rounds. They can overpower to get the bonuses to hit.
Or they can disengage.
Or they can disengage and get away. So it's definitely changed the mechanics of how we play.
And how long have we had taunt in? Since I know since we were in the other house. So what do you say, 10 years? It's since 15?
Yeah, it could be that long. Like you said, I don't remember what I had for lunch. So, but no, it's at least 10 years.
Well, what are some of the limitations? Do they have to know is language a factor?
Not necessarily, because say you're within, I prefer, but say you're within 10, it's got to be within 10 feet. So you can't do it at someone 60 feet away. It's a melee combat ability. It's not for spellcasters. It's none of that. It's a melee combat ability, and you're just like, you're saying like, I'm going to kick your ass, or you smell like meat and cheese, or whatever.
I was kind of envisioning too. It could just be one of those. Hey, look at me! Come on, get me!
Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of like what sometimes you see people do when they drop their guard. Like, come on, it's right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that's why language isn't necessarily. You're attacking a creature that doesn't have a speech. You can still taunt it because you can. You want to get the bull's attention. You wave the big red flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is something that I ripped off from World of Warcraft. I met 100%. I liked it, and I said to myself, the tank fighter in D&D with the best armor class, how does he get the baddies to fight him? There's really no way except for running to them all the time and staying on them. It didn't. The logistics of the fight didn't make that sense. The main armored person, the smart, there had to be a way. So that was kind of the idea.
And there's I agree that the taunt and demoralize is really cool to have there. But let me first go into say that how do you get to meaning creatures only when they are, meaning the fighter is not there to fight something that he's superior to. He's there to fight large numbers, so to speak. He can hold off 10 enemies or 15 or 20 enemies. So meaning put a fighter in a door and you can have 100 goblins and they will not get through. So that's his mission, so to speak. If there's only one or couple of enemies, he's not supposed to kill them. He can keep them at bay. He can just put him in next to the wizard and no one will dare to come near the wizard, so to speak. That's his job. And when the odds get really bad, meaning there are lots of enemies, that's when the fighter comes. So if you only have a few, then the fighter needs to work hard and run around trying to chase them, or use a crossbow or a bow or something in order to hit them. So that will be the suffering, meaning the fighter needs to have, the odds need to be so bad so he becomes really useful, so to speak. That's his job to win. But I get it. In order to have a fun game, you need to kind of game up, and that's when I see it the way I've used it, and I'm glad, because I'm looking at the rules in PF2 now, and they work fairly the same. So it's basically you make an intimidation roll, and then you demoralize, so the enemy gets scared, and then. Yeah, and what I usually do is that the enemy has 2 options. They get scared, which means that they get a lot of minuses on all the rolls they do. And they get, the only way to get over the fear is to instantly run up and attack the taunters, so to speak. So that's the way to do it. So if the characters get taunted by an enemy, they have 2 options. If they stay away, they get scared. And they get mushy and they get all sorts of minuses. So then you better run. The option of doing it is to run towards and attack the enemy, because that's the only way you don't get, if you respond to the intimidation by running up and risking everything, that way you don't get any minuses. And that's the way to engage in that's how I handle it mechanically, so to speak.
Jay, do you have the bad guys get taught?
Oh yes. And battle and demoralize, all straight fighters.
Yeah.
Not multi-class. this is another thing we talked about. No one was taking fighters. I mean, there's different fighting styles, so fighters don't have their own special ability beyond specialization, right? But other classes get specialization too. So we gave them the battle and demoralizing shouts +1, -1. They're not magical effects. They're kind of morale effects.
Mhm.
But taunt is a taken a feat, so you don't have it. No one gets it automatically except
You
for the
get a
shield
save,
thing,
though.
the shield thing class. There's a save against it too. Absolutely.
Shield thing and it runs particular specialty priests.
What's that?
Jirami gets taunt.
Yeah, which is really crazy because they're paper thin armor on too, which is kind of funny,
Yeah.
So why they get that? It's weird. Some of the ones that get it, and that's a spell. That's actually an Arcana spell itself was taunt.
Why taunt people? Because psychological wounds never heal.
Yeah. Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, there's a
And
lot
you-
of
you can disrupt-
Taunt's not new either. I mean,
yeah, it's not.
I know Jay doesn't like to talk about this particular series, but Dragonlance, the Kender race had taunt.
Yes, that was their main thing in combat. Yep.
Yeah.
They would infuriate things and they would go after them. So it's essentially the same thing.
Very true.
Taunt is risky. You can win a lot, but you can also risk some because some enemies might run up and charge you right away, so to speak, in order to kind of avoid it. But I think that should be part of the kind of risky equation you do when you start yelling and screaming at the enemy.
I
and trying
agree.
to fear them. So it's something that could work really well into your favor, but it can also backfire. But on the other hand, that is the fighter who wants to fight, meaning he yells at everyone, "Come on!" And then you bastards, or you sissies, you're too scared or
I think
whatever. Yeah.
a version of demoralizing shout could be laughing, where as you
Yeah.
approach him, you just kind of go,
Mhm. Yep.
because that is
Well,
not cool.
Yeah, there's different ways to act them out too.
Exactly. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
can use it against
Mhm.
player characters that way too, because they can. Yeah. So you can use it. That's why I don't want to force anyone. They get different scare levels, and that just enforce. And spellcasters can lose their concentration and stuff like that if they miss the roll against.
And we have a couple PCs in the game who are not fighters who have taunt.
Oh
I
yeah,
think we have
anyone
one or
can get
two
it. Yeah.
PCs who have it.
It is about, I'm going to say with the fighters, it's about 10% at best.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the old schoolers characters don't have them. Only the new recent ones have added it in. So
Yeah, but you can imagine an archmage having taunt. That will be kind
my
of
gosh.
awesome. Like, come on here and scare the bejesus out of everyone. And yeah,
Yeah, step this way across.
yeah, step
that
this way until they see
open
it.
area.
Until they
Maybe
see an
draw a
archer.
line where that
Well,
kind of opens
they-
fire and say anyone dare step over the line or
Oh.
something like that. Yeah,
Do I remember right that Alan's dark elf necromancer fighter? She has taunt, I think.
She
Sandra.
took taunt, yeah.
Yeah, because
Chandra.
you go up the fighter and she's got sword shun on and all, and
Yeah.
minor glove and all these other things on her. You can't hit her, but then you're stuck attacking her.
So there's a lot of different options.
Yeah.
Just note that I think it brought something that was needed and was lacking in our game,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that, especially in miniatures play, was because we have what's called the rule of three, because combat's not static. And if you've seen this big fight picture here, they're not all just standing there. Everything's moving around. So we have it that unless there's a special circumstance, three characters of man size can fight one character, 3-on-1. It works that way. The gang up rule is
I suggest 4.
Tim likes 4.
I have you have basically. Let's see, one. So you have.
I
1,
fought
2,
3
3,
before and I fought 4 before, so
4,
4 can do
5,
it.
6, 7. I have 8
Oh my gosh.
characters. Yeah, 8 can do it. They're 8.
With spears, yeah.
Oh, with spears, they're even more because then you have reach. You can basically then it becomes like 15 or something like that.
Sure, that would easily be able to happen if they were organized.
Yep.
And
That's what I do. That's why in my games you don't run up and
hype
fight formations.
train.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And you don't fight in an open field, meaning take that 10th level fighter that can hold off 100 goblins in a door in a door, but or like a narrow opening, but out in the field he will be toast.
Once again, most fighters and most organizations are not like in D&D and Greyhawk, are not super hardcore militaristic, right? They're not the best in the world with military. Like these goofy erythral worshippers in this temple that we're showing here, the tactics
Right.
are very bad. You know,
That's why I have lawful and chaotic too, and
Yeah.
different tactics. The chaotic ones, they yell and scream and come at you just like the epitome is the trolls, meaning an organization just run in and tear up and cause chaos as much as possible. And then you have the if you take like a bunch of devils, they will line up and they will scare the bejesus out of you for half an hour before they slowly steamroll you over, so to speak.
Like, I think, dwarves would be very organized if they were a military unit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lawful would be very
Yeah.
organized.
Yeah, and the dwarves will not run after you. They will wait until you are 5 times more than they are, and then they will make their shield wall and hope that you will come to them so they can kill you. Yeah.
A lot of good points, and once again, take from this discussion what you so use in your own and apply it. Make it your own. Ask questions of us. If you had that, they would be in someone's
Right.
army.
Where-
That's
like-
cool, Wes. I agree there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking cultists, and we're talking all different things, and we're not talking military tactics.
Or they would be retired military or ex-military or just men at arms organizing with a good commander who forces them to train. But again, that's that lawful,
Yeah, but that's
dedicated thing.
once again, that's not. I agree, but that's
Correct.
not
That
a
has to be
realistic thing
based-
for a dungeon setting.
That
For the
has to
most
be
part,
based
maybe.
on which bad guy. No,
Yeah,
I would
true.
say it depends on the bad guy. Like the brigands, the slaver brigands, they're chaotic evil. They just use their force numbers to do stuff, and so they had no real organized response whatsoever, and no good guards, no good, because they're just haphazard.
Mm-hmm.
So, why do we use the rule of 3? Because of the gang up rule, and I wanted it. I didn't want. This is what was happening: 8 bad guys, 8 good guys. Say one big fight. Bill will tell you. Three guys would go and attack the one, and then everyone would spell the same one at a time, and it felt like BattleTech fighting. Right, Bill?
Yeah.
We wanted to
call
make it.
conga line.
We wanted to make it a little more realistic. It works. Yeah. So, all right. Improve critical melee, something you can add.
If
it's a
they had
prerequisite.
individual initiative, it might change that.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding.
Dude, it's funny. It's funny. All good. All good. So we have these proficiencies, and they work well for us, and that's the cool thing. And it's a change that I don't know when I instituted that. I think right when 3rd edition came out. Bill, what do you think?
It was probably a little later than 3rd edition. When we started using some of the 3rd edition versions of spells, just because the descriptions were clearer, and then we did start to add stuff in.
It's grown. You did start a good while ago. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm thinking.
it's probably been 15 years.
yeah.
I'm thinking 2003, 2002, 2003 back then, because I was like, some of these are cool ideas, but we just can't use them. How do we implement them? And so that's what we did. Just
Yeah,
to
we
add
started
that.
looking at doing a lot of things. WoW influenced us a lot in the game, to be honest.
It did.
Because we looked at doing crafting and some other things, and some things just didn't make sense because it's just the logistics of being in the game.
Yep.
Like
True.
crafting, for instance, is the one.
Well, we do now. We have alchemy. Oh, I have an alchemy book downstairs. So, my library. I brought some up. I got the base rules book, classes and races. It's called. Okay. I have the magic items sub rule book here. I'll open that up. This got split into 2 books because there's so many of them. The specialty priest and NPC specialty priest books. What's this one? Oh, my favorite. The Elementalist book. There's 6 Elementalists. I didn't bring the Wild Mage book down after what happened Tuesday night because that was just so awful.
It was the greatest wild magic ever.
Oh my god, it was terrible. So I was an evil. My reasons were to open face helmets.
But fighters aren't the only class that now gets an advantage that we changed too, because nobody runs straight mages anymore either. So we did make adjustment at 3rd level
I love
mage
them.
get, do we give them extra spell slot automatically at third
Right.
level?
So let's go
Correct?
back to the proficiencies. Here we go. Let me show you. So you have one of the proficiencies we added. I think it's on the second page. Yeah. Okay. If you go down to number 29, extra spell slot, one extra spell to cast, one level lower than highest able to cast. So say you're a fighter mage and you have 4 proficiencies and you're really not interested in being, doing your fighting or whatever. You can take extra spell slot and say I have 4. Say I'm 6th level. I have a 5th level. I have 4 first, 2 second, 1 third I can cast, but I have extra spell slot. Now I have 4 first, 3 second, 1 third, or 5 first, 2 second, 1 third. My choice. I can never take the highest level I can cast, but I can add an extra spell slot in one of the lower spells. Straight mages get it for free. So that's what we did to make them a little bit of a benefit. They get that as a special. Yeah, stay from Wild Magic. Man, that was just awful on the Tuesday night. But I love Wild Mages. I really do. I think they're one of the best. The Elemental Specialty Priest Wild Mages best stuff from 2nd edition.
Biggest disappointment, Emrakul the Chaotic was a Wild Mage. Biggest disappointment of my life.
Especially when I fought him against you in that first fundraiser.
Oh no, that was wonderful, but he was being a Wild Mage was.
I know, but that's what they put in the one book. It doesn't mean it has to be the case.
But anyway, it was funny. He healed the whole party, didn't he?
I did. I did. So I have a habit of messing up a lot. Yeah, with Wild Mages all the time.
Hey,
I forgot that
wild.
he healed most of the party too.
Yeah, he healed most of the party by accident because it was Wild Surge.
The Wild Ball. No, he cast a Wild Ball and he did positive energy and healed everyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, absolutely. That was a Jewel Crown First Edition Core Classics. Depending on it. Yeah. So.
Good time.
Wild. Yeah. So. Thank you all for that hype train. Really appreciate it. Get those emotes out there. That was really cool. And choo it away there. Very, very. Thank you very much, everyone. I think so. We do have one special hero point added for Thursday night's game. Thank you. All right, now I gotta get my train of thought. Okay, here's another thing we wanted to talk about. This came up in discussions. Wow, my gosh, it's already been an hour and a. Man, we're burning through this, aren't we tonight, Anna? Wow, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Let me get to this. All right, this is not edition banging again, and the permitted races for AD&D Greyhawk classes. All right. Someone was talking, and I think it was Ash Sir was talking about humans and dwarves. Never saw the need for a dwarf paladin, and I can fight with Casey. Halfling wizards, no. Third edition changed it all up, and Anna and I were talking about this before the discussion about culturally, we have the go ahead because in Gary Gygax's 83 folio through to the Carl Sargent era, there's not a single one that exists. In the Carl Sargent era of posts, there aren't any, right? So it's already been set in that time slot that we play in. What do you think about that, Anna?
The paladin class is somewhat cultural.
The true on that too, and that's why we have others. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't mechanically ban it, so to speak, and say that no, it can't be. This is to me more a kind of the social kind of campaign world building issue, and should not be a mechanic issue.
True.
And so because I don't automatically allow things in my campaign just because it's allowed in the rules. It needs to be worked out so it works thematically, with meaning they grew up in an area, meaning there's no one there to train them to be a monk, so to speak, and there's no oriental stuff, and there might, like we said, there are no rakshasas, so you can't be a specialist in killing rakshasas, and there's a whole bunch of things that will probably not happen there. But in another campaign, it made perfect sense. So there might be definitely be a halfling wizard or sorcerer or something in a future campaign and a character. So I'm not ruling it out on that term, so to speak, but I want to. So I don't like the hard-coded rules in the mechanics. To me, that is a world-building issue and should be handled on that. that term, so to speak. But there should be rules that if you're a fighter and you're only small in size, there are certain circumstances, meaning, and a lot of times it's a hindrance. But on the other hand, when you fight really large creatures, it might be a plus. You can run between the legs and stuff. So
And that's in the game rules in 1 and 2.
exactly.
It's in the game rules for dwarves and gnomes. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's called
that's
specialized with
halflings.
crossbow.
Yep. So that's why I think that there should be mechanics, but I don't
Mhm.
like the hard rules saying that
Okay.
that race can't be whatever, so to speak. That is something that is up to each campaign and figuring out, so to speak.
And that's where my point was going, is that this may not be for you, especially if you're 5e or 3e, and that's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. Humans have a real, in the old school, have a huge advantage, and that is dual classing. And dual classing is very powerful if
Yeah.
you do it right. Tim,
Yes.
Bill, give us some examples.
Well, first thing you do is go first level fighter and then dual class. after that.
Yes, first level fighter with 18 something strength, and then immediately switch to thief.
No,
But Jay doesn't let that happen. So I think it's funny, and I think it's fine if you can explain why that happened.
right, there you
No,
go.
I mean it can be. I mean, I have
Galena.
only 2. I have one who actually dual class from ranger to knight,
Yep.
and then I have a thief who dual class to illusionist.
Yes, and she is very powerful. She is very, very underrated.
As a thief, yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah.
In
Oh
her
my,
role,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
she is.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
have a fighter he's lawful neutral and very intelligent and very wise, high wisdom, high intelligence, and he's a fighter, and now he switched over to be a specialty priest of the Red Knight,
Mhm.
and then
You have 2 others.
as one exception, Jay was going to let me once upon a time, eventually, sometime in the distant future, maybe even switch to another class. Just because of the
Maybe.
story.
Maybe.
If he ever gets there.
There,
And I have 2 others, where there's Skeeve's wife.
I got. You have 2 player characters. You forget. You
Oh,
play,
that's right. I
yeah,
have Glamdring
3.
and Sir Reginald Errol.
Sir Reginald
Champion.
Rathmore, David Errol, Champion the
Champion
Fourth,
the
Defender of the Faith, and Vanquisher of the Unrighteous.
John is
John.
was the special
Yes.
necromancer. Special
Oh,
priest?
that's right. John, yeah. He was the first one.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
John was the first one, I think.
yeah. So Sir Reginald is 8th level Paladin Cavalier. He switched to magic user, so he just has magic user abilities. He's an old character of Tim's, going back to the 80s.
Yeah.
So he just got back into playing him again. Dual classing, I think, is really a huge benefit. They can't multi-class, but they can dual. Bard's an exception. We won't go into the Bard discussion tonight because it throws, as Anna says, it's the first specialty prestige class. That's true, technically.
Yeah.
That's the way you look at it as. I don't have a problem, West, with giving certain, and I have this. I mean, two of Anna's favorite NPCs in my game is that one's a fighter that's a goblin, and one's a bugbear that's a bounty hunter, and they go up in levels. I have no problem with NPCs of humanoids running around for specific reasons, particularly Orogs, which
You did let Valerie play a special race, yes.
I did. Well, come on, there's a special.
Yeah.
Kids are a little bit of an exception too.
Well, she's 19.
Well, she wasn't at the time. Yeah, she was 16 at the time,
Yeah.
so it's not a problem. You
those
gotta
were
have
characters when she
flexibility
was
in your rules.
Very little.
But we have 45 classes and barbarian clerics on this list now, and it's just, if you don't want to be, and I'll go back to this, a dwarf. If you want to be a dwarf paladin, you can be a dwarven shield thane in our game, and the shield thane, I think, is much more cooler than a paladin, because everyone, paladin, you know what their abilities are. The shield thane's nasty, especially at 7th level. With the shield bash, they could be very nasty. What do you think, Bill, on that?
I love my shield thing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters, and essentially it's a tank.
Yeah.
But it's a fun tank.
And they can be lawful good or lawful neutral. They're the lines. So you can have that. If you want to be a halfling, you can play, and just like in the one group cannon fodder, you can play a halfling guardian. So you have an option there as well.
I'll be back in
Go
a
ahead,
minute.
Anna. No problem. If you want to be an elven, if you want to do an elf type, you can be a cavalier, an elven cavalier, or even a knight. Right? All those options are close. Knights are, so there's.
Knights are as close to a paladin play. I mean, it's pretty much just about every race. Well, no, elf, half human can be knights.
It's a good, it's good, Wes. It's a good thing to change things up occasionally. I agree 100%. You want to throw them curveballs. And by the way, our discussion on next Sunday night, it's Curveball City, and I'm going to save it. I guarantee you. I've been thinking about this. I guarantee you, everyone's going to love the topic next week. Love it.
Well, the topic is.
The topic's awesome. I mean, the topic for next week
is not the topic.
The next one's, well, you're gonna have, they're gonna be curveballs in it the whole time. You'll see. We're not too far away from that discussion. So you have rules that evolve, and your game evolves, and you have your players, and you lose players, which we all do. I've lost players. Some of them I'm glad I've lost, right? Some of them I'm upset I've lost. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the core group of Tim, Bill, Walt, Alan, Tom. That's it, right? And if Mark comes back, is been with me since, for the most part, the 80s. The 80s. And Bill's the latest one at around 92. So think about
you youngster.
Do you use specialist paladins? The answer, Captain Mymorph, is yes. I use specialist paladins. I have two. I have two of them, both created by myself. One of them is in the last Earth Journal. I don't know about this Earth Journal. There should have been one, but we won't talk about that. So we have the Undead Hunter, which is a paladin subclass. If you go down this chart here and you see where it goes, it says after night, Paladin, Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor and the Undead Hunter are both specialist paladin types. They're subclasses of paladins. So we have 3 different types of paladins. So the answer is yes, and they're cool. Specialist. So that's cool, Big Alf. You can, so in our game, another thing. You can have a halfling that can fight with a bastard sword, or even
he's a tall fellow. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tall fellow. Plus, or if he takes the feat monkey grip, you can also have someone who can fight longsword, not dark elf in our game because of the feat monkey grip, which is I think that came out of the sword book from 3rd edition. Bill, you think so? The Sword and Fist. Yeah. So here comes a nice raid in from the dragons in the dining room. Thanks. So Dragons in the Dining Room will be joining us for Ethereal Gary Con. So thank you so very much, Dragons. Really appreciate it. Please check them out. And Dragons, my deck is full. Please link your Twitch site in there so people here can follow you. They probably should have already, but please add the follows in. So thank you very much. So something, Tim, Bill, something cool that we've done in the last 20 years that you like or don't like.
Well, are we talking gameplay? Are we talking rules? Are we talking
Both.
miniatures?
All of them. Throw something out there.
I had something, but I'll let Bill go first.
I mean, there's a lot of things that changed. I mean, the one thing that I think has really made it more interesting to sit at the table is our terrain and
oh God, yeah.
having more miniatures than we used to. Especially, I just think not to toot my own horn, but I think it's changed the way we play the game. I think there's more terrain, there's more hiding spots, and visually it's better and more interesting to sit at the table than around an old, dry erase board.
Yeah.
Or mat.
It is
makes
more
sense.
visually. It's more visually stunning. Yeah.
We
But I mean, the thing that's great about our game is it's a living, breathing rule set for us.
Yep.
And at points it stagnates, and then we reinvigorate it again, and we add things, we make changes, classes, spells. So it's never the same.
to prove that, this new group of firsts out of Narwhal, well, now they're running through against Call the Reptile God. Tim convinced me after 40 years to allow a barbarian cleric in the campaign after I said no for 40 years.
Gulu
Because
gulu kambale.
I read up on it and I'm like, you know what? It's time. It's time to get rid of the fear.
It's really not overbalanced. I mean, he has a lot of potential, but the EP requirements are just
right.
so heavy.
They're brutal.
Yeah.
It's going very well,
someday
dude.
He's going to allow half elven illusionist thieves. You don't have to be a gnome.
What's that?
Someday you'll allow a half elven illusionist thief.
But I don't right now, still to this day. I allow
Right.
magic user thief for half elf. So Anna, something that I know we'll save Tim's for after yours. Anna, what is something that you have changed in your head that you're going to do for your game differently?
I'm thinking that I've done more and more over the years is that I've learned to involve more and more world building into my game, meaning that there is more kind of a sense of the world going around. That has not always been the case. That's something I've emphasized more and more the last like 20 years. And now I feel like it's the first time I really understand what I'm doing, not from the fact of actually sitting and managing the game, because that was something I learned over like 10 years or something, because we gamed so much back like 30 years ago. We gamed every week. So I got a good sense of actually managed to kind of run the combat and talk to the players and stuff. But the fact that now I can understand the world and I can kind of present interesting things and plots and stuff like that, that is something that I've learned over the last some decade. I've read enough Greyhawk and stuff now to have cool materials, and that's another thing, having all these shows and talking to all the awesome people and getting all the ideas and plots and stuff like that is fantastic. Just like an article like Gary's about Death Knights. It's like, oh, that was 2 whole new campaign ideas that just popped out of that article. And
Death Knights are so great.
Yeah,
so awesome.
There's example, and I get from people in chat, people sending me emails, comments and stuff. I get so many cool ideas. So now I can weave it in and have campaign arcs that can kind of come out of it, so to speak. So that's something I'm really, and one other aspect too. There are so many awesome players out there that I want to game with, and that is something. And now when I'm setting up my new campaign, I must. The first time I was kind of terrified. What if they're not interested? What if they don't want to put their effort in or whatever, and it's fate? Now I feel like, damn, this is so much fun, and these players are so awesome. And I just
now you have too many people that are interested.
Yeah, and also that they're
awesome.
kind of they're participating. Meaning, I said, oh, write down a few little notes what you want your character to be. I got awesome life stories and ideas and stuff that was fantastic. So it's the kind of sheer creativity of everyone involved in the hobby that kind of amazes me at all times. Yeah.
So I'll say this for the community, and it appears that a lot of I know Gallagher's game got Indicarus playing, and there's a lot of crossovers, and I was so ecstatic during Greyhawk Con when I had to change at the last second when Brian couldn't DM, and I did that game, Narwhal game, and I got all you players to sign up that night. That was so awesome, right? And so the community is really grown to the point now, and we're all sharing ideas, and that is extremely exciting. So, all right, Tim, we got to hear yours.
Oh, well, I have a 2-parter. One was just kind of funny. What was the first thing I said to you when we first met years and years ago?
I've
What was
told
the
this
first thing I
100
said?
times.
Yeah,
I get in the
know.
car, and I'm in the car, and we're going to Jack and F's house, right?
Right.
We're going
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Haddonfield. We're going to play in a game. Walt, I'd known Walt from school, and I get in the car, and I sit in the back seat, and I sit next to this dude right here, and he looks at me, and he goes, "So, do you think because of a dagger or the speed factor so low that a mage who has a dagger can attack twice per round with it?" I looked at him like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Hey, and now I want to
He's
talk
like
about that
12,
again.
13 years
ticked
old.
off, yeah, you ticked off Jay instantly.
No, I didn't make him mad. He was just
I was
like,
like,
it
"What?"
is an unusual way to start a conversation, granted.
Yeah.
If you look at the speed factors, it is amazingly low, like amazingly low. Now, when you look at it, a knife historically and in reality, there is something to that.
Hmm.
Yeah. In the historical fighting manuals, Hans Talhofer, he'll show two guys with swords in his artwork, and he'll say, "Here, two men fight with swords," and he'll say, "Here, two men fight with long swords. Here, two men fight with spears." And then when he says, "Here, two men fight with daggers," God help them. The only time he ever says "God help them"
Hmm.
is when
Okay.
they're fighting with knives, because they're so damn dangerous.
Right.
So with a super low speed factor, doesn't it make sense that they would get two tacks around?
To this
Okay,
day.
that's all I have to say about that.
He knew he'd make my head explode, because we're going back
It's
to
not important.
1980 at this point with that discussion. So, and what
Yeah,
was your
but
second parter?
No, the second part was well, one of the things that I've changed is kind of how magic is.
Yes, you did.
So I'm not a fan of the "I memorize it then forget it" explanation. So my explanation is that when you're doing magic, you're channeling some sort of power. You're inciting it through some sort of symbolic actions,
So you spell
some
points
sort of
now.
foci, or some sort of words of power. So to you know to have power over reality and make something happen. So in order to do it safely, it requires this sort of ritual creating and channeling of this power. So if you trade time for safety. So instead of memorizing it, what you're doing is you're doing the ritual to generate the power, and then you do a ritual of holding where you're holding that power ready to go. So you're trading time for safety. And so when you're in combat, you're just doing the release because you've already generated that power. It's not about forgetting, it's just about you've already pre-generated that energy and ready to go. Which of course, if you can pre-generate it, then what if you try to do it on the fly? So I had to make up a whole rule set where if you decide to take the risk, you can cast any of the spells because you know them, as long as you have your components. However, there's significant risks involved with miscasting, severe miscasting, and catastrophic miscasting.
So you're saying that now you're allowed, once you have cast off a spell or that's memorized, technically you can cast any spell that you have known, but it's
Yes, but
okay.
it's not super easy. It's based on your intelligence, wisdom, charisma, and level as a percentage.
This is news to me, everyone.
Um,
Wow.
So I think I did send you the Nature of Magic article, but you have a lot of shit going on. So
No, I don't. We all do, but
So
plus you're doing spell
can
crits now
cast
too.
it. Yeah, so you can cast a spell. If you're casting it and you
Okay.
fail by less than 20%, you can continue casting, and on that bad effect will happen when you're done if you keep going. What you're trading off is time, though. So instead of casting it in 3 segments, it's going to take you a full action to try
Okay.
to cast it.
Interesting.
So I mean, I did a whole rule sets on that. It is risky. I mean, I think I balanced it where it is something you just don't want to do if you don't have
It's
to.
desperation.
Right. And now if you're a 30th level wizard, casting first level spells over and over again is pretty easy. As it should be.
So I saw this post on Facebook, and I think it was the old school gamers. Did anyone see that post where the guy goes, "I got a character to 30th. What's the highest level?" Everyone goes, most character people are retired by then. Did anyone see that? I was like, oh my
Nobody's
gosh.
gonna. Meaning most players have retired when their characters have reached that level.
That was a
Before
little
that.
ridiculous there. Thank you, Nam.
My highest character ever was 14th.
Oh,
And
Kruk?
that was, Kruk. And
What-
that was a Monty Hall-ish campaign.
Right.
Yeah, I played one character to 20th level in ever. That's the highest. And then I've had a couple of 15, 14, 15, I think. 16, I've had a couple.
13's about it for us.
Yeah.
On a rare occasion, you get up like Fensick's up to 16th now, right? And Leuven's like
Leuven-
18th. But
Leuven
they're
Yeah.
Leuven
but I-
The
and
highest
Fenzig
case game is 12.
Yeah, the
But we
Leuven
had-
and Fenzig are true from start to finish. Yeah, so I mean, I started Leuven. My first character was Leuven.
yeah.
I was so lucky that one of my friends who's a very good DM, he was in between jobs for like 6 months and did other things. So we ran game like 4 times a week online. And that was how I got my gnome sorceress to be 20th level. That was a lot of fun.
And we all have those Monty Hall stories, right? We all have them back in the day when it
It's
was just
a
crazy
phase.
gaming when we were young and like
we all going through that phase when we
All
had out
did.
kingdoms and
We've all killed King Arthur, haven't we, at some point?
yeah, because he was in the freaking
know what?
Deities and Demigods book.
Oh no, I never.
Oh,
would've fought him.
I've never used him or never had a game with King Arthur in it. So yeah.
We did. Alan ran one with it where we fought King Arthur. So that was probably like in 7th or 8th grade because it would. Wow, look, he's in the Deities and Demigods book. Look, Galahad gets 3 attacks per
I
round.
backstabbed the Red Dragon.
Yeah, well, that's
Monty Hall.
That's possible. Do gnome
Backstab-
illusionists really exist? Yes, in fact, they do exist, and
Just an illusion. Yeah.
yeah, they're an illusion of an illusion.
Yeah.
Still wondering why sling stones are half damage on skeletons. Yeah, well,
Why are sling stones half damage on skeletons?
sling
Yeah.
bullets.
Are they that? I thought they were bludgeoning.
We won't even
Blunt.
go there. We won't go there in that
Who
discussion.
says they're half damage?
I made that quickly thing because I thought they were bullets. So there, yeah, that was a little jab. All right. So I guess Josh isn't on tonight, so no one's brought up the Thrommel vampire jab tonight either. So there you go.
Nope,
So I'll bring it up
yeah.
myself.
Thromel's
So,
not a vampire.
yeah, I agree 100%. So,
Yep.
anyone have any questions about what we discussed tonight? We've gone over a lot, and thank you for so many people being on tonight on the end of the holiday long weekend here. I'm dreading going back to work. So
Yeah.
So let's say it 2 times more, and you never know, he may appear. Note that the entire point of this discussion tonight was it's okay to tweak and change your rules here and there. It's better to discuss things with players who are unhappy with something and make a little bit of a change than to lose the player over it, right? Now, I'm not saying give in to everything, but I'm saying sometimes you got to make the right change. And I'm constantly changing. The game is not etched in stone.
Yeah, because it's group fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's group
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, without your players, there is no game. So it's, there has to be give and take on both sides to make things work.
Yep.
Yeah, and you need to note that with this discussion, and that is that, and just enjoy the game. So, what about healing? We discussed damage and combat type. How do you heal in your game? Well, there's natural healing, there's spell healing, and then there's special healing that maesters, barbarian clerics, barbarians have the first aid ability. There's herbs that witches can have. There's all sorts of.
I have an addendum, Jay. When you're done,
Go for it. I was just answering a question.
I was just going to, as I'm converting and making these critical hits and fumbles, I also have the expanded wound thing, and I have permission from the original authors who made it for Warhammer. I'm converting it to Dungeons and Dragons. It is about 70 pages of advanced crits and healing. So it takes a medical doctor's perspective on damage and healing to go ahead and make your world nightmarish.
That
and
is
infected.
70 pages.
Yeah, I'll cut that down a little bit. It's awesome. I mean, you thought your broken femur was bad. Wait till that sepsis sets in.
Oh.
It's just great.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh.
it will totally make you really consider
Yes.
what you want to fight for and when you want to fight.
It's from Winds of Chaos, Bloodwild's asking, right? That's
yeah,
what.
Winds of Chaos. Yes,
Yeah.
bless their hearts.
Yes, and they gave Tim permission to really mess with it. So, oh boy.
To convert it over, and then one of the guys wanted a copy of it once I converted it because he plays D&D too. So
And that's the thing is that I take from Forgotten Realms all the time spells. Like we have deities from Forgotten Realms in our Greyhawk. I don't care, and they figure, oh, that's not canon. Red Knight, the Red Knight's a great deity for our campaign. Lawful neutral god of war planning, perfect because there is no deity.
I mean, if Jay didn't allow that, I would probably go with Athena. So I mean, but that's not even Greyhawk either.
Right. So you gotta, for your game, whatever it suits you, do it. You know, do it. It's okay, man. No one's gonna yell at you.
Who are you to tell what deity is going where?
Hey, Fraley, what's up? All right, so let's do some shout outs and talk about what's going on in the world here. As look at that, the 2 hours flew by tonight. My gosh,
Yeah,
that was awesome. So Tim playing with matches in a room filled with Now Tim's outside and enjoying the nice nice fire. No one came out and joined you, huh?
I don't want anyone to join me.
What? So
then I might have to share my whiskey.
I don't know if I have it here. I'll show you my shout outs, but let's start. Tim, we'll start with you tonight. What's going on, man?
Well, I don't have any details, but I'm hoping to participate in the charity games upcoming.
Yes.
I think I was the only one to do 2 games, so now I'm going to try to do at least that this time again.
I think you will.
I'm hoping to. And then, of course, I'm going to be continuing on the next adventure in the saga of the Dark Hand.
Yes.
Barbarian campaign. I've had a number of yeses already.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward to it. Yeah.
Anna said yes, and I have 2/3 of the crew already said yes. So
good.
The others have scheduled stuff going on, so we'll have to determine that later. And I have to add another person.
Yes, you do. You have to have a general sign up, at least one.
Yep.
So, and it is in already. So and we will talk about that for Greyhawk Con. But Tim's, I've already put it in. So I have 6 events in already just for the Lord Gazumba channel, and there's more coming. And we'll talk about that during my area of the shout out. And so we will definitely can't wait for that. But that's March, so we got a lot more going on before that.
I'm working on the crits and the fumbles and the upgrades on that.
We need to do a city state though, dude. We need to do another city state adventure.
Thinking about that.
Yeah, you haven't done one in like 6 months.
I know it's been a long time. I've been busy. I already have like a whole bunch of stuff already in the works. I got to talk to Bill about that though.
So, Tim, RJ Tash, please whisper me, and I'll forward it to Tim to make sure. He's an orthopedic surgeon. He'd love to see the healing table and the crit table. So, all right, there you go. Perfect.
Oh, I'd like to talk to you. I have a bad knee over here. I need to talk. I'm just kidding.
So note that Tim, we always have Tim doing stuff in the fundraiser event. Of course, we will be the finale of that, and we'll talk about that shortly. So how about Anna? What's up?
I've been preparing for my campaign, but I've also, when it comes to the map making, I've made one, and now I'm going to get technical for like 2 minutes or 1 minute to explain this. And there is a bunch of stuff in now I'm talking the current and future maps that are basically a 3D model of the landscape, because I want them to be super detailed and I want them to look real. And there's one thing, and that is to make rivers. There are 2 things with rivers, or 3. One is that they flow downhill, and secondly, a lot of them are on the map already, which means that I need to be able to control exactly where they flow so they match the existing. And the third one is that they also form an intricate network that it's like blood veins, so to speak. They form lakes, and then they kind of overflow, and then they flow downhill again, and they kind of merge into, so smaller rivers merge into bigger rivers that become even bigger rivers, and then they flow out in the ocean or into lakes, and then so on and so forth. So these are the criterias. And before I managed to get that part, but then you have the general erosion of the countryside, and then you have the rivers. They erode the areas they're flowing through because they cut through the terrain, which means that they erode the terrain around them out to a certain degree, depending on how deep the river valley is. And to get those two erosion, the general erosion of the area and the river erosion, to get that mask to match, that was a really tricky bit to get that data to match, and that it's taken years to figure it out. But now I've actually figured out how to do it. And so now, for the first time ever, the rivers look the way I want them to. They flow where they're supposed to, and the surrounding terrain looks fantastic. And I've done one render of one area, and now I'm basically render one little area each. So in the next week or so, I will have my 1,000 square miles rendered, and then I can sit in Photoshop and start filling in the details and stuff. So that is groundbreaking, because I wanted the maps to look as good around the rivers as the rest of the terrain looks like, and that has been kind of crappy up until now. A lot of people don't look at it, but stare enough at my maps and the rivers don't look realistic, and now they do.
I don't know.
Down
I
to
saw one.
Yeah.
I saw one of Anna's pictures of Anna's. I don't know what version it was, but it looked like drone. It looked like a drone took the picture.
Yeah, but the problem was that
good.
I could see the difference, and I stare at landscapes for so long and try to figure out the geology and all that, and now they actually look authentic, so to speak. So
Awesome.
that's a huge breakthrough. I've been working on World Machine and terrain creation, virtual terrain creation, for 20 years, and haven't figured out how to do it until now. But the problem is that there's so many issues. You have to solve one issue after the other. And the key is that you can have the software can generate automatically a lot of rivers, but the problem is I want certain rivers to go exactly in this flow so they match existing maps. That's the big limiting factor, so to speak. And then I want to create the erosion, so they need to be controlled. I want to bend here and stuff like that to match it, and now I can actually do it. So I'm really pleased with that.
And
So,
Kai asks, what programs do you use?
I've used World Machine, and
Machine.
I'm also digging into using Gaia is another tool, upcoming tool. So those two will be competing for right now World Machine is the best one, but soon there will be two competing tools that I hope I can use both of them. I will use Gaia for certain things, but so those two will be there, and then I'll use Photoshop to touch up the textures and stuff. So and that's a really fun part, and Bill can probably attest to it. It's like doodling. I do it in Photoshop, but it's like painting miniatures in a way. I take the terrain and I sit and doodle in exactly where I want the beaches to be and what swampy areas, how
Fine
swampy
details, what makes everything look better.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
So it's a handcraft that is wonderful because it's so you sit and get engaged in it without having to think too much. So I can watch Netflix video movies and listen to podcasts and stuff like that and sit and doodle. And that's a wonderful thing to do for 3-4 hours a day for a couple of weeks. And then I don't want to do it again. And once I've doodled for a couple of weeks, I want to do something else. But so I have some doodling to do.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's very similar to crafting. I do it digitally, but I'm sitting there with my Wacom, just like a pen or a brush, and I sit there and doodle on textures and stuff for days on end to do it. So but the good thing with this is that now I know that the project can go ahead, and Lindor Isle will look fantastic when I get to it, and Shieldlands will look fantastic. So in probably about a month, about around New Year's, I will probably have a good first map of the 1,000 square miles of South Shieldlands for my campaign, and that will come out in January and stuff for patrons and on my website. And then I will start digging into once I have that and know that there are no kinks and know how to go about doing it, then I'll dig into Lindor Isles this spring. And Lindor Isle will be fantastic at 5 feet per pixel.
Oh my God. 5 feet per pixel. Can you imagine? Wow.
Yep. So it's like look cool. And I also have the hand-drawn maps is something that I want to dig into now, and the various styles and stuff to do it. And that will be a lot of fun because that will be just hand-drawn from the get-go, so to speak. So the handout maps that will accompany, I want one that is super accurate for depicting where the characters are, and then I want to have hand-drawn maps, probably a couple of variants. Have anyone thought about orcish maps? What do they look like, or some that made by gnolls or something? So I'm having some interesting ideas. I want to kind of dig into some fun stuff like that.
Or barbarians.
Exactly, a barbarian map, so cultural map, so to speak. So I want to see if I can do some interesting things with that too. What did the Great Kingdom have some sort of standard military map they use for conquest or whatever? So there are some interesting things I want to do with maps that are more kind of in-game stuff too. So one set of maps for depicting the world and keeping track of where your characters are and where the ambush is supposed to be, and where do the characters get that awesome keep, what hill do they have there, and to put that keep on, etc. And then I want to have the more kind of in-game fun stuff too. And there's a bunch of heraldry I need to develop for my campaign too. So I'm working on that too. So there will be a bunch of that coming out, and there will be village maps, town maps, and stuff like that coming out too.
An unbelievable amount of awesome stuff from Anna, as always. And please, I've already linked it. I'll link it a second time. But if you haven't joined our Patreon, please do. It's huge boon and benefit to everyone.
Hang on a second. Canadian asked, how about picking a homestead out and labeling it after myself? Yeah, so there will be a homestead for my campaign. Will start with it's called a village of Aldit that is in southern Shieldlands. So that one will be detailed. Every building will be detailed. It will be the whole surrounding, like the whole shield, will be 5 feet per pixel. But then it will be full battle map style for the village itself, its immediate surroundings, and each building and stuff. And there is even a dungeon. But don't tell my players that. Because they don't know that yet.
Yeah, but some of them may be watching now.
I know that a couple of them do, but they already can hint it. So we'll see. But there is a dungeon in the village. Every village needs a dungeon if
everyone
needs
to start.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome, Anna. All right, Bill, you got a ton going on. I know. What's up?
I'm always sleepy after Anna's.
I got a lot going on.
You got a lot going on.
Rich, hope you're feeling all right, man. Longitalis. So if you want to link to Bill's Instagram, flip down after the Stratagem and the Miniature Building Authority sponsorships. It says Build a Master Crafter. Just click on that and please follow him on Instagram, okay? And it's the same picture I have up.
First, hey, if you guys follow us and you like our Reaper giveaways, do us a favor and click on the Reaper link down below.
Or the one I just linked, the one that says reference Lord Gazumba, please.
That goes a long way to helping us give away freebies.
Yep.
So please, if you're on, just drop down, give it a click, and you can get right back out again. But that helps us with the giveaways. But no, just keep 3D printing. This is just primered.
There it is. That is the first
I'm working on right now. I got some touch-ups to do.
Infinite Dimensions.
It didn't seat right when but that's one I'm working on.
That's Infinite Dimensions, Abbott's house.
There's Jay, I got some ramps for the roadway.
Cap off, yep.
Let's see. The outhouse, which I've been working on, I added some flowers.
Another Infinite Dimensions piece.
Outhouse.
Yep, another Infinite Dimensions piece.
We don't promote them regularly, but WizKids does make some good terrain pieces. I doctored this one up.
There should be more outhouses around.
There should be a lot more outhouses around, absolutely.
Or they just use chamber pots and dump them, I guess.
And here's some miniature building authority boats. I added a skeleton to this one just because any sunken boat should have a skeleton in it. We're tentacles. Everyone needs tentacles.
Yep.
But we got a lot going on, and we'll be some neat terrain coming up for GaryCon.
So let's talk about that, Bill. First off, this picture I have below me shows the toll booth from Gamescape 3D, the town watch tower that's the last piece Bill finished and he did up. That print was forever, but it's great. The road work, and then the building behind that one, orange one, that is a Thingiverse building, correct?
Yeah, it's the if you look under Oldheim, Old ULVH
okay.
EIM.
Yeah.
They're free prints, but the guy also has a Patreon and stuff too. He does some great buildings. But it's a good one, freebie to get started, complete buildings, all kinds of different ones, including ruin sets. So
we are doing the Grand Joust of Altamira as the main event for Gary Kahn Virtual on Greyhawk Adventures that Saturday night. 16 characters will be jousting in a tournament to determine the winner of the Grand Joust. So Bill's idea was, let's go to one of our 3D print partners and get something custom made up. So Bill gave me this little sketch of a wall, a tilt wall with this shield for heraldry, and our partner Jeremy from Gamescape 3D he's like had all these ideas, and he is now working with us, and hopefully by the end of the week we'll have the STLs for it already. He's like, no problem, I can handle this.
Tilting barrier. Awesome.
Yes, and we're gonna have Greyhawk heraldry on it.
Yeah, but maybe some fencing to go around it as well.
Yes. So he's done the town square by our request. He's doing a lot of stuff that we are asking him to do. It's going to be awesome. So just to note that it's underway, that part, and we got some things going. And then for our part of the fundraiser finale of Underdark Uprising, we will have some hopefully a couple new Dark Elves out there for you. Oh, I gave it away. So there you go. So Bill's always swamped. Just note that most of the terrain crafting you see is all on his. It's all his doing, and that just makes our game that much more. Combine it with all of our sponsors. I think it's the best in the business on Twitch. So there you go. That's me personally, but I think we have the best of the tabletop miniatures, and
we're getting there. We're
getting
growing.
there.
We're not using battle mats or pre-made boards. Our stuff is pretty damn good.
Absolutely. And just note this, about 2 years ago, I didn't use underlay. I just used that. And everyone goes, why do you have swamp? Because of the color of the board. And I finally had to figure out to use underlays. So yeah, Bill, it's a team effort here. Everyone chips in somehow. All right. So
fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful. We're going to do the drawing in a second, and then we're going to raid into Sorrow's Tale. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Wednesday night, Legends and Lore. The First Family of Greyhawk. That was my dumb name.
But Gary, I loved his say, the Nailix.
yes, he was wrong.
That was so fun. Yeah, that was funny.
Please check out Great Babe's Kickstarter too. He's got going. Please check that out. He's got something really cool. And just get the confirmation right. And thank you very much for that follow. First Family of Greyhawk. Ayuz is the son of Grazitz and Igwolf, and so is Drelsna from Shokanth, and there's even a third, and we're going to talk about all of them.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Yes!
I'm really looking forward to this one.
We're going to talk...
I've seen a lot of articles recently on the daughters of Igwolf on some of the Facebook channels. I haven't really looked at them. Are they anything good to look at, or anybody should look for in those articles? Has anybody looked at them?
If Mike is on, Greyhawk Mike has done an in-depth research into the Tasha book, which Tasha is Igwolf before she became Igwolf, right? And so we're going to find out. Yeah, I thought Milko, you had to jump that in there. That's funny. So we're going to have a lot of different perspectives on this, and it's going to go in different directions. We'll give some history, how they're different in each of her campaigns. Anna's got another daughter of Grazitz. Yes.
Yeah,
so we're going to do some. I haven't even
we've met her.
Yes, we
Yep.
have.
Yeah.
Yes, we have in our game. So
Yep.
absolutely, it'll be a fun discussion on Wednesday. Thursday night we continue against the cult of the reptile god, and I already threw out a little tidbit of the terrain. I already have it up, so they're going into the first level. Note this, that this is as close as I could personally get to what is actually in the map. So here's another little blow up of an area. There you go, showing you.
Don't like that. Don't like water.
All right, so I
Don't
did
like
my
water.
best. I really did my best, and I think it's actually, for our game purposes, the map I've done up is perfect. So there you
It
go.
looks great.
Yes, Mike, correct. Plenty of direction. So that is Thursday night. I believe it's Stratagem's turn for giveaways, and I'll do some Titan dice. Note the week after, the 12th, is the quarterly Miniature Building Authority big giveaway, $75 and $25 gift certificates next Thursday. Not this Thursday, next Thursday, the 10th. All right. What are we talking about next week on Gabbin? I thought about this, and I told Anna about an old TV show in the 60s with Bill Bixby, My Favorite Martian, which Anna hadn't
I've
heard
never
of
heard
because
of.
she
Yep.
wasn't from the US back then. So instead of that, My Favorite Martian, it's My Favorite Monsters. All right, so we're going to discuss, and look at the picture I have on there, one of my favorites of all time, Rakshasas. And
Of
we're going
course.
to and talk about all the.
I have some stories about Jay and Rakshasa.
Cool.
You like that one? There you go. My favorite monsters, and I want to hear about your favorite monsters too. But there's all sorts of different troll types. There's all sorts of different undead types, obscure ones I use. There's this thing called Lich's Blood, which is really nasty too.
That's nasty.
Yes, there's all sorts of great albino crocodiles, which wonderful things. Zombies, you got it. Yes, so there you go. It'll be a great discussion, I think, next week.
Do they have to be your favorite to fight or your favorite to have as a DM?
Either or. But they're going to be a lot of
Yeah.
my favorites, and everyone else in the audience can tell us their favorites. So, yes. Your favorite to fight too, Tim, would be great. I think it can go in, once again, our discussions go in 100 different directions, which is okay. But I thought the title was catchy. And then the next schedule thing after that we have is Legends and Lore in 2 weeks, which is Living Greyhawk, the Duchy of Ernst Triads will be with us. Which will be
Let me
another.
ask you this. I'm sorry, Jay.
Okay.
I got to ask this question about monsters. Are we strictly sticking to like monstrosity monsters?
No.
Because you cross over into
We
the
can do the
racial
yeah,
boundaries
we can
sometimes.
do the
Because
monsters.
the drow is a
No,
drow
no, no, no.
monster.
Monsters.
So
Monsters.
that's
No player
monsters,
character types.
Well, okay.
Yeah, let's stay away from dark elves.
That's very good.
Damn,
That's
I had a
yeah.
dark elf. I wanted to.
Yeah.
See, I had to ask.
Monsters. Let's
Yep.
keep it to monsters.
Okay,
All right.
yep.
So, which can be any kind, like Grimlocks, frickin' mimics, like Leonard hated mimics, right?
Oh.
Brown. Here's Carlos with the brown mold, and the one that fire expands it and all. So there's all sorts of ones. We mix. There you go, Pat. 66. There's all different kinds. But I'm going to bring you mine, and I'm going to share some things with you DMs out there that you can really screw your characters up with, because I have some stuff in my monsters book downstairs that I only bring out when I really want to torture my players. So we'll get through that. All right.
You don't see though. After the game's over, we beat.
Oh, West River Rat. Alan almost beat me to death. Favorite low-level monster is the Nilbog. That's not a low-level monster, man. It has low hit dice, but it ain't a low-level monster. So
It's just a healing vacuum.
it is definitely. Underdark Uprising, it's actually Friday, February 19th and Saturday, February 20th. We have 7 of the 8 streamers confirmed on time slots. We're working on finishing that up. It'll be all day Friday. We won't go in the middle of the night like we did last year, and we'll do all day Saturday. And hopefully, we're going to raise. We raised $2,500 last year. Let's up it this year. That's what we're going for. And the stories will be a little disjointed. But note that mine, I have 2 ideas, and I'm going to see if I can make one of them happen with a certain character. We'll see, which would be cool. And Casey drives down for it, and it'll be a blast. And
Just
that is
depends on what terrain I want to build, what Jay does.
possibly that too, for that one. And then the biggest, that's huge. That's a big thing because we're going to raise money for a good cause, and we'll have a lot of great giveaways, Reaper, and all the other sponsors. But everyone knows now, and I want to call out some people in a good way. Gitano, Grendel Wolf, Endicarus, and Dwayne Prometheus have all put in events as DMs for virtual Greyhawk Adventures in Type 05 under the TTE site in Gary for GaryCon, and thank you all for doing that. Getting some of them in. I'm waiting on a lot of other individuals, and I'm waiting on the streamers to get theirs in. But and we're setting up a stream schedule over the 4 days. They want 24 hours a day. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I'm also discussing it with some New Zealand streamers. So it would be a cool thing. Hey, Lex, George, we can talk about all sorts of other combos, anything you want next week. What your favorites are. It's open discussion, man. That'd be awesome. So please, if you want to participate, contact me. I think we have enough streamers. I'm looking for DMs. Because remember, Greyhawk Con was big, but GaryCon, I bet you we have 5 to 10 times the amount of signups for in the general pool that we had for Greyhawk Con at least. So there's a lot of content. We need content. So please let me know. Tim's game is Saturday morning. Anna's seminar is Friday night, right, as of now, right?
Yeah.
The main event is Saturday. I'm running Horror in the Hools Part 1. Friday morning, I'm running Horror in the Hools Part 2. Sunday morning, we have our Ask the Expert session. We're going to have Greyhawk After Hours. We're going to have a DMs roundtable discussion, plus all the streaming. It's going to be awesome. So keep it going. Please, if you want to help, just contact me. Let's do the giveaway. Let me close this out. Last call for signups. Last call as I'm closing this out. Juju Zombie. You know I love Juju Zombies, Tim, because you can't damage them with anything. They're immune to magic missiles.
And half damage from everything else.
Yeah. And yeah, especially in fire, too. All right. Will J mess this up?
Yes.
Iron Golems are awesome. I love Iron Golems. +3.
Not if you have a Wand of Metal Command.
Yes, or 1 Rust Monster. Right? Giveaways.
Yeah, well, the Rust Monster has to take the hits while it's trying to eat it.
I will, Enoch. I will pay. I will reopen it.
What you need is a nickel-plated Iron Golem.
The winner is Sorrow's Tale. That's so funny. Now, please note he is streaming now. I will tell him that he won. Okay, only fair. He's streaming. We're gonna raid into him. The irony of all that. Wow, that is funny. That is awesome. Grats.
Lucky.
Very lucky, but that's cool. I mean, he cheered tonight and he participated in the discussion and he stayed as long as he could. So, hey, good for him.
Fantastic.
I will, when we raid in, please let him know that he won. And thank you all for a wonderful night. We're only 25 minutes late tonight from the scheduled time. I'll see you on Wednesday night.
You mean 25 minutes bonus material?
Oh, exactly. Anything in closing, anyone? We're good?
Yeah.
That was
Wonderful.
Thank you to chat, and thank you, Jay, for.
So remember, Dagger should get
Bill
two
and
attacks
Tim.
around.
Yeah. And Bill
Dagger
and Tim
should
is
get-
Stay
awesome
safe
too.
out there.
Yep.
Please stay safe, and thank you, Tim. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Bill, for hopping on and contributing to a great discussion tonight. And we'll see you Wednesday night for cool Legends of Lore of the First Family. Will Jay hit the right button here? We're gonna find out.
I think
did.
you will.
All right, we're starting to raid,
Wonderful. Awesome.
and then just to say, hey, you won the drawing! Yay! That's so funny.
Dagger talk next week. All right.
Yeah.
I will have to have a show of hands. Who has actually sparred with knives versus longer weapons? And we'll have to compare.
Oh my gosh, look at this. Wow. 77, 77. Nice number. That's like very high. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, going in. That's a monster raid. This was thank you everyone. This was a huge viewed show.
It was? Wow.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Anna.
Wow.
Yeah, there was over 130 at some points.
Wow.
Well, it just
Wow.
showed great.
That is
too,
big.
so.
That is great. Yep.
Is it the long weekend? It's because of
Might
Anna.
be.
Because of Anna.
No, I'm
It's-
on every show almost.
I know, that's why.
No, but that means that if it's more viewed, it must be because you or Bill is on. That is no.
I'm
Probably
never
Bill.
on, so that's
It's probably
why.
Bill. It's Bill. It's been a long weekend.
Everyone's trying to get one dose of fantasy before having to go back to reality.
Yeah.
So what is the Sorrow's Tale? Is that the guy running it? Is that him?
Yes.
Gallagher. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
he has channel.
See y'all later.